Chapter 291 Charge. Chapter 291 Charge. Zhuo Fan went over to Huangpu Qingtan, his gait casual, his tone calm, just like seeing an old pal. Young Master Huangpu, since this is the second round, you should have told me. Where's the pill then? Ha ha ha, please. It'd be the same as dangling the brimming sacred pill in your face. Now that I've seen what Steward Zhuo can do, let's see you try getting it now. Huangpu Qingtian raised a taunting eyebrow. Zhuo Fan shook his head. There was no point in doing anything, not when he had no clue of the item's location. Young Master Huangpu, since you won't tell me, take it as my loss this time. Let's meet again in round 3. Zhuo Fan waved and was about to retreat. As if scared, Huangpu Qingtian snickered. Steward Zhuo, I admit that I have no way of stopping you from leaving. Nor do you have a way of stopping me. But I can't say the same for them. Hinting at Luo Yunhai's army, Huangpu Qingtian snickered with a light clap. Furious roars filled the marsh, storming for the group of allies for both sides. Just as Luo Yunhai predicted, the attack was formed of 2 armies led by Yin Bongyi and Yu Yushan, respectively. There was no sign of Lin Xianfeng. The guy was double the cripple, true, but a profound heaven expert regardless. He wasn't about to miss out on springing an ambush with such an obvious answer. Luo Yunhai easily predicted the guy was waiting for them to retreat in his direction. Nice, you live up to the name of Tianyu's 5th tiger. Xie Tianshang showed his admiration. His opinion of Luo Yunhai grew a notch. The same went for the others. If not for Luo Yunhai's tactic, the sudden charge of so many enemies would have crushed them where they stood. Some would chose to flee and run into Lin Xuanfeng's team, sealing any means of escape. Luo Yunhai may be weak, but his art of war was leagues above anyone from 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. Luo Yunhai just shook his hand. The praise didn't get to his head as he kept his cool in dealing with the sudden dual charge. Listen up. Only act when I give a signal. They all nodded, fully trusting Luo Yunhai. Huangpu Qingtian watched it all with a smile. Steward Zhuo, your allies look positively rooted in fear. They huddled together like lambs, about to break, flooded by my men. Isn't it what you wanted anyway? Zhuo Fan smiled back, completely confident of Luo Yunhai's abilities. Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian felt something amiss. His side had 10,000 men doing the charge and even laid down an ambush, while the Tri-House Alliance numbered 3,000 at best, outnumbered 5-1. With them holding the field and numerical advantage, anyone would think this battle was in the bag. So what did Zhuo Fan base his confidence on? Huangpu Qingtian would find out soon enough. Kill. With an earth-shaking roar, Luo Yunhai pointed behind him, and his army followed. Yin Bongyi and Yu Yushan's armies were stunned in bafflement. We haven't even made contact, so why are they charging behind? The ambush hadn't sprung yet either. The two were oblivious to its meaning and took it as a good thing. Regardless of what trick they pulled, it would only work to show a hole in their formation. This will make things easier, killing them down to the last man. The two only grew excited in their charge. How could they have known their crass assumption couldn't be farther from the truth? Luo Yunhai's army did charge, but its flanks did their job in keeping the center shielded. Despite the flanks clashing with the enemy, they showed no weakness in their defense, as they also didn't engage in heated fight, moving with the center's charge as well. Yin Bongyi and Yin Bongyi's armies found themselves in the worst situation. They felt as if each man was facing 5 people. Just as they attacked the front, a sudden retaliation came from the back. The Tri-House Alliance moved like the sea, crushing the enemy armies in waves. Amidst the turbulent waters, Yin Bongyi and Yu Yushan found their numbers cold. As for the lucky survivors, they landed far behind the battle. Looking on at the endless strings of corpses left by the Alliance's charge, they had the numbers, they had the flanking, but now they had the biggest losses. While Yin Bongyi and Yu Yushan looked positively glum, Huangpu Qingtian gnashed his teeth. You've got your ass handed to you, even when 5-1. Just what do I keep you idiots for anyway? Yu Yushan's back tingled from Huangpu Qingtian's seething bloodthirst, and he gave the signal to Lin Xianfeng. A 3-pronged attack ought to save them from a gruesome and cruel death. No. But as Lin Xianfeng eagerly led his 5,000 men to beat someone when they were down, he heard a loud boom and his army was blown away. Luo Yunhai's vanguard, drifting flowers edifices, was mowing his men like grass. His only reaction, slack-jawed, what the hell? Were we supposed to catch a fish in a barrel at this point? Why the hell do I still see them holding strong? How the hell does a huge fish like this just slip right past you? Yin Bongi and Yu Yushan, are you more useless than manure? What are you doing letting a pristine army charge here? How am I supposed to stop them? While he was here cursing his allies, the duo cursed right back. You damn cripple. Is this how you lead an army? Are your men meant as cannon fodder? I don't expect you to stop them, but you could at least curb their charge somewhat. You're 100% garbage is what you are. You got what was coming to you when soaring demonic dragon took an arm and a leg. As the trio cursed each other like no tomorrow, Luo Yunhai had no problem punching his way through the encirclement. Zhuo Fan laughed from pride. When it came to armies, ambushes were the norm. This couldn't have been a better test for the fledgling marshal. The way Luo Yunhai set his army was the typical echelon formation, excelling in counter-attacking the pincer attack, and allowing high mobility. This formation puts a price on speed above all else. Once it was formed and picked enough speed, nothing could stand in its way. Zhuo Fan flicked a grin to Huangpu Qingtian. Young Master Huangpu, my guess is that it wouldn't be so hard for them to get away. Face twitching, Huangpu Qingtian looked ahead with a scorching gaze. He wished nothing more than to kill those three wretched allies of his. The reason for one's defeat wasn't an unbeatable enemy, but wretched allies. Those morons have higher numbers, yet were still smacked around. All they managed to do is drag my reputation through the mud. They're nothing but utter imbeciles. Taking a deep breath to quell the surging anger, Huangpu Qingtian laughed coldly. Ha! Steward Zhuo is erudite in pen and sword. You've had this planned all along. No, there was no planning. They did it all by themselves. One must give credit where it's due, and not take it for oneself. Zhuo Fan cut him off with his snide remark, which only got Huangpu Qingtian even more worked up. Zhuo Fan's deceitful character was common knowledge, so losing to him was hardly shameful. But those three sods of his loss to the likes of some broads from drifting flowers edifices. To make matters worse, it was the tyke from Luo clan leading them with his allies having lost any semblance of dignity. It was quite sensible for their leader to blow a gasket, grating his teeth and fuming mad. Huangpu Qingtian's face took on a vile tone. Steward Zhuo, I never wish to drag them into this. You leave me no choice but to... What? Go and snap their necks yourself. Ha ha ha. You'll have to go through me first. With his trademark evil grin, Zhuo Fan's urge for battle flared. Huangpu Qingtian nodded. Our fight is foreordained. But first, let's see if you can save them. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes flashed with cruelty and roared at the sky. Ooh. Shockingly enough, Huangpu Qingtian's mere shout sounded closer to a dragon than a human. Zhuo Fan squinted, but his reply was a calm gathering of eerie power in his eyes. That dragon roar was a special martial art, just like his wraith style. They both originated from dragons, but no man could ever release a dragon's roar. Short of being a dragon himself, Zhuo Fan shook that thought away, finding it utterly ridiculous. A true dragon had the power of at least Gu Santong despite being called a monster. His might had yet to shed the realm of mortals. So why then? Zhuo Fan's train of thought was cut off when the earth rumbled with a dreadful sound. Chapter 292, Bloodcroc Army. Chapter 292, Bloodcroc Army. Boom! As the rumbling continued, the sound only grew louder. Not even the chaos of battle could drown it. Luo clan and drifting flowers edifices stopped their charge. So too did Yin Bongi and Yu Yushan cease attacking their flanks. Ally and enemy alike watched dumbstruck at the source of the noise. What dreaded creature could make such a riveting entrance? Roar! They got their answer in the form of an endless stampede of blood-red creatures crawling towards them from behind Huangpu Qingtian. Regardless of where one looked, all they saw was a crawling red mass. Now that they got a closer look, the creature was a fanged blood crocodile of 5 meters in length. They were pack animals crawling on the ground. Yet that didn't stop them from having incredible speed and tough bodies like peak bone tempering experts, third-level spiritual beast, Bloodcroc. Everyone cried out in alarm. Who wouldn't, when watching 10,000 blood crocs marching towards them with relentless force? A lucky few profound heaven experts would just fly out, while the rest were doomed to be ripped limb from limb in the jaws of a croc. Luo Yunhai turned grave. Godfather told me that Chuanrong are expert beast masters, sweeping the battlefield with their beast army. This army can use formations and could hold its own at numerical disadvantage, but I never imagined Huangpu Qingtian would resort to the likes of this. This is bad. What? Huangpu Qingtian called them. Long Xingyan snapped his head at the smirking figure, just as the blood crocs simply bypassed him. Now, a believer. His face sank. This monster is already strong enough, but now he can call upon a beast army as well. We can't fight them. Our only choice is to run or get trampled. The others took one last fearful look at Huangpu Qingtian and nodded. Huangpu Qingtian's talent had reached a godlike level. But was running that easy? Sure, the few flying ones could take some passengers, but what about the other couple thousand? They were fated to end up as broken corpses under the blood croc stampede. Chu Qingcheng frowned, and Side Yin Bongi, Yi Yushan, and Lin Xianfeng snickered as they flew away with their profound heaven experts. Uncaring to the fate of the rest, Xianyang looked at Zhuofan's broad and straight back. Our fate now rests solely in his hands. Everyone looked at Zhuofan in frustration and helplessness. Zhuofan's abilities were eerie, to say the least, of great power, but could one man stop the flood? They held no hope in Zhuofan. Even Luo Yinhai, always confident of Zhuofan's invincibility, faltered. I and Big Brother Zhuo had anticipated the enemy launching a frontal assault. It was our ignorance that led us to assume they'd be men and not thousands of blood crocs. Humans are susceptible to fear. A bit of trick here and there from Big Brother Zhuo would be enough to buy us plenty of time. But when facing a horde of savage, spiritual beasts, they won't falter for anything. Damn it, is there no other way? Xie Tianshang cut him off in anger. His eyes were burning from rage. Huangpu Qingtian is inhuman. The others got what he was saying, yes, he was inhuman. No man was able to subdue a blood croc horde and use it for himself. No one would be so cruel to his fellow men, to even throw away his own men's lives to be ground beneath the marching horde of his beasts. Then it dawned on them. Isn't that strikingly similar to Zhuofan? They turned to him now. The man was taking a deep breath and looked on heavily. Like a cold-blooded monster, he also possessed power no man could, but how much could this monster slow the horde down? We don't ask for much, just enough to let us get out alive. They held little hope for Zhuofan pulling through for them, but they still did hope. His talent was unseen in this world as well, but he was a human like the rest. How could he possibly slow the beast flood down? Well, one delusional girl thought this was right up his alley. Xuaningxiang clenched her fists and said, "No worries. Big Brother Zhuo can do it." She had now crossed the point of no return, becoming an eternal Zhuofan's fan. She didn't care about hows or whys. Just as long as Zhuofan did something, everything would be all right. Funnily enough, she was right. Luo Yinhai begged to differ, however. Zhuofan had no problem dealing with a bunch of men charging over, but as for spiritual beasts, in the face of the ravenous flood, Zhuofan looked like a dinghy floating about, ready to tip at any jolt. However, this dinghy was quite calm and smiling. Young Master Huangpu, who knew you can tame beasts. Ha ha ha, you're too kind. It is but a mere parlor trick. Huangpu Qingtian acted casual, but couldn't hide the conceit in his eyes from Zhuofan, as Zhuofan took pride in his blinking art. Huangpu Qingtian was confident of his beast-taming skill. It was akin to providence. As if heaven went out of its way to lay everything at this king's feet, so that no man or beast could defy his righteous conquest. Zhuofan could tell what he was thinking and grinned. Young Master Huangpu, you sure are confident in your ability. Not confidence, but a given. Huangpu Qingtian smiled with his head held high. The emperor declared, in this world, be it armies, the ground beneath their feet, the officials, and even these savage beasts, all are fated to bow before their true king. Show off. Zhou Fan's inner outcry summed it up nicely, while his reply was a snort and a shake of the head. What do you say to a wager, then? On what? That got Huangpu Qingtian's attention. The kid has time to bet when his life is at stake. What's he up to? Bang! Zhou Fan drew a heavy line with his foot, sneering at Huangpu Qingtian. I wager your beast army won't cross it. Even if just one of them does, I lose. Pretentious. Huangpu Qingtian only had anger for his haughty boast. He knew what Zhou Fan was capable of, but never once believed the punk had the power to quell the beast tide of tens of thousands. Huangpu Qingtian only managed to do it with that little secret deep within him. As for power alone, impossible. Zhou Fan's crass words undermined his authority. Was the ability of a regent that easily dispelled. Zhou Fan only mocked him. Well then, oh young Master Huangpu, do you accept? The stakes are the brimming sacred pills we each hold. The winner gets the other's pill. Huangpu Qingtian mulled over the trickery Zhou Fan planned to include in this wager, but still held supreme confidence that nothing the punk did could change anything. As such, for honor and hubris, he nodded. Show me, then, your futile attempts to stop tens of thousands of spiritual beasts. My pleasure. With a crafty grin, Zhou Fan turned to the charging blood croc tide filled with barbaric and unrelenting savagery. These blood crocs had only one answer to this suicidal kid, gaping maws filled with teeth and sharp claws. Chu Qingsheng, Xuanning Xiang, and the rest watched on unnerved. Huangpu Qingtian had a cold smile, calm and uncaring to the lonely man facing a flood hum. Zhou Fan's eyes then flashed in a strange light. The blood crocs were about to tear into him, with one of them even having his head in its maw. It only needed a chomp, and that would be the end of Zhou Fan, but the blood croc's eyes shrank in fear. Under the astonished looks of the bystanders, the beast army began to shiver roar. A mewling cry from somewhere among them signaled the rest of the blood crocs to turn tail and scamper from whence they came. The wild eyes and stumbling gait only hinted at the horrors these beasts had seen. They were even faster in retreat. This spectacle left everyone slack-jawed. Chu Qingsheng was dumbstruck. Xitan Yang was shell-shocked. Yi Yushan was speechless. Lin Xianfeng jumped out of his skin, and, naturally, Huangpu Qingtian was floored. He still had a clear picture in mind of Zhou Fan being torn apart, only to be replaced with an image of a cowering beast army. What made it worse was the unknown element of how he'd done it. Huangpu Qingtian stood there like a statue, his eyes lost, mindless of even the fleeing spiritual beasts zipping by. Chapter 293, First Contact. Chapter 293, First Contact. What just happened? Yu Yushan was floating about in the air, looking dazed at the scampering blood tide. When he finally managed to return to his senses, he said to his two allies, "Wasn't that eldest young master's trump card?" The two were still out of it by the looks of it. Huangpu Qingtian had laid it on pretty thick with his boasting, that once blood crocs came into play, the Tri-House Alliance would be left in mangled pieces. They were so excited to see Zhou Fan finally falling short in something, getting with the program of suffering like everyone else. The boasting got them hyped as well, eager to see Zhou Fan in tears. That wasn't meant to be, however. Not when the sure kill method was running away at top speed. The three sank into depression, followed closely by the sharp decline in Huangpu Qingtian's grandeur. Even heaven-shaking Dragon Lord got the same treatment as them. He boasted and flounced, sure, but do that in front of soaring demonic dragon and you'd get bitch slapped. He had met his bane. Luo Yunhai's side was on the verge of breaking down at the sight of the savage beast tide. They felt the end coming, their future robbed, but looking at it now, they knew the earlier panic was quite pointless. There was no need to fear as long as Zhou Fan was here. The acting commander of the Tri-House Alliance shook his head at the casual Zhou Fan. Sigh. It seems even I don't know big brothers well. He shrugged the beast army of tens of thousands like it was nothing. Forgive me, friends. I have made the grievous mistake of doubting Big Brother Zhuo's abilities. With how Huangpu Qingtian can do it, it's quite obvious Big Brother Zhuo could do it too. It's a fallacy to think otherwise. Luo Yinhai gave a solemn bow to the vexed crowd. It made sense, though. Having gone through so many events with Zhuo Fan, there was one undeniable truth all of them should have figured out by now. Nothing was impossible for him. If even he met with an impossible conundrum, then all hope was lost. Huangpu Qingtian could control spiritual beasts. Humph! Then so could Zhuo Fan. The basis? He was Zhuo Fan, of course, in the blink of an eye. Zhuo Fan's fan club found its ranks greatly bolstered. One had to admit that even if Fan was right sometimes. Just look at Xuanning Xiang, bouncing around with unbridled joy. See that? What did I tell you? Chu Qingxiang shook her head. Although her love rival, she still found her innocence pleasing to the eye. Xiao Dandan's eyes had hearts in them. Watching Zhuo Fan with an intoxicated leer, Zhuo Fan's cold tone gave her quite the scare back then. But with him striking the alpha male pose, she threw that fear out the window. Dying by his hand would be a dream come true at this point. I'd rather be a ghost by a hero's side than the wife of a lousy bum. The lust was strong with this one. Xiao Dandan simply wanted to gobble Zhuo Fan up. Dong Xiaowan saw the others' galls and envy. They all fought over Zhuo Fan's attention, but not her. She was of low status, and being unable to follow her heart left her in misery. These monsters are capable of anything. Xie Tianyang glanced at Xuanning Xiang's red face with jealousy. The others paused for a second, then nodded unanimously. One man controlled a beast tide, while the other shooed it away with a wink. Could a human being ever do that? The two became a beacon of shock and awe to every onlooker. Zhuo Fan reigned totally supreme. He did have the upper hand and all. Rumble. Amidst the ever-shaking earth from the fleeing blood crocs, passing him by, Huangpu Qingtian's face twitched. His fist scrunched up, and he spat through gnashed teeth. Stop. I command you all to stop. Not one blood croc minded his rave. They had bigger things to worry about. You moron of elephantine proportions. You're merely a king on earth and can command some of us, but that man is an emperor over everyone. You don't compare. Go home, wash up, and sleep tight. No blood croc who passed him showed any intent of ever stopping, even if he roared himself hoarse roar. Huangpu Qingtian was pissed. He released a dragon roar deep enough to resound even through the deaf blood crocs. Zhuo Fan looked on with a quizzical look. Only now did the blood croc stop and look at him. Huangpu Qingtian smiled in joy, having regained some semblance of his regality. But then the blood crocs lowered their heads again and scampered off like naughty children. The man's eyes were bloodshot and his anger exploded. He was a king, and no one defied him, especially not some mongrels. Thump! An iron fist lashed out and blood blossomed. The punch blew up the head of a blood croc. Stop or die. Huangpu Qingtian wailed with his hand dripping blood, not that it had any effect. The blood crocs didn't give a rat's ass about his command. In a fit of anger, he blew up 5 more blood crocs, but the beasts took it in a stride, running as fast as their legs could carry them as anger gave way to despondency. This king found himself dethroned, standing there in absent shock as the blood crocs streamed by. Why won't they listen? I am her king. Huangpu Qingtian muttered under his breath in bewilderment, all this while the blood crocs ignored him. He didn't strike a kingly figure anymore, but that of a beggar now that he had lost his throne. He was a nobody. The rest of the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, foe and ally alike, were watching it all in stunned shock. The day had finally come for the mighty heaven-shaking dragon lord, Huangpu Qingtian, to be lost and despondent. The defiance of his orders, thwarted by Zhuo Fan's ability, had a far greater impact on this proud and majestic king. It was too much for even him to bear. The watchful shadow from the side. These two are natural enemies. Yet each is a genius seen once every 10,000 years. The death of even one of them would be such a tragedy. Should I take them both? He threw away that thought with a shake of his head and snickered. Hina, the world isn't big enough for both of them. Their fight is preordained. It's only a matter of time. The most sensible choice is to let them go at it and pick the winner. Hi. No one knew such a creepy and uncertain element had snuck its way into the esoteric debate. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose, feeling quite disappointed in himself. Young Master Huangpu, Don't be so down. There's no shortage of people who had and will lose to me. By the looks of it, I seem to be the winner in this little wager of ours. Will you honor our deal? With all the blood crocs gone, Huang Pu Qingtian raised his head to reveal a crazed pair of eyes as he snapped, "Humph, my word is gold. What do you take me for, a Welsher?" Huang Pu Qingtian took out a vial from his chest. Zhuo Fan knew it to have the brimming sacred pill. Huang Pu Qingtian was afraid Zhuo Fan would snatch his ring again, so he hid it in his clothes. Any cultivator out there had the means to store their things, be it rings or bags. It was arguably the safest place to keep, unlike on your own body, but Huang Pu Qingtian's thinking went the other way around. He chose the most important item to hide on himself. The most dangerous place was also the safest. It even caught Zhuo Fan off guard. Zhuo Fan would never have found it even if he snatched all the storage rings. Zhuo Fan laughed. "Haha, young Master Huang Pu is so crafty. I never saw it coming. I was still of the mind you gave it to that cripple for safekeeping. Humph, you take me for a fool to leave it on him after the first pill." Huang Pu Qingtian flicked, and the vial flew at Zhuo Fan. "Humph, take it." Whoosh. The vial shot through the air, leaving eerie sounds as it passed. Even space shimmered. Zhuo Fan felt a sudden immense pressure slam into his shoulders just as it neared. It even made the likes of him stagger startled. Zhuo Fan threw his hand forward to block it. Thump! The impact had him slide 5 meters and even found his arm that caught the vial numb. He was shocked to find what a mere flick could do. No wonder Chu Qingcheng and the other two lost against Huang Pu Qingtian even though they joined hands. This guy is a monster body cultivator. Besides Gu Sanong, he would definitely be the most outstanding talent of a younger generation. Zhuo Fan knew that even his diamond body was a far cry from Huang Pu Qingtian's physique. Elderly was right, this guy is a true monster, stronger than me. After this first true contact with Huang Pu Qingtian, Zhuo Fan now realized the full extent of the power the head of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix wielded. Chapter 294, Release the Beasts. Chapter 294, Release the Beasts. Whoosh. A black figure blocked Zhuo Fan. He was still staggered from the previous blow when another strike came out of the blue. Squinting, Zhuo Fan blocked the strike with his hand boom. The immense power of the strike cracked earth under him, caving it for 100 meters around. But it hardly mattered compared to the pain coming from his arm. It was on the verge of being broken. Astonished, Zhuo Fan found himself face to face with a sinister-looking Huang Pu Qingtian, his eyes beaming with murderous intent. "Zhuo Fan, I can't let you live." Cackling, Huang Pu Qingtian spun a kick into Zhuo Fan's waist, aiming to split him in two. "You're the first to ever rile my desire to kill." His brow shuddering, Zhuo Fan faced the sky-splitting leg. Since he couldn't block, he had his right eye flash golden instant movement. Whoosh! Huang Pu Qingtian had cut Zhuo Fan in half, only to find it was his afterimage, while the man himself got some much-needed distance between them. Gasping for breath, he didn't anticipate Huang Pu Qingtian would ever resort to sucker punching him. What he did just now must have really pushed the guy's buttons, and had now driven him mad with the sole purpose of slaughtering him. The onlookers from farther away were astonished. This was the 3rd time Zhuo Fan and Huang Pu Qingtian were at each other's throats. First in Dragon Cloud City, cut short by Dugu Zhantian's meddling. Second was pill stealing, though no one was there to witness exactly how it went down. And as the saying went, 3rd time's the charm. They truly let loose in this round. No holds barred the result. Zhuo Fan's prospects at winning just hit rock bottom. He was on a total defensive, and if not for that mystical ability of his, he'd be a goner. Huang Pu Qingtian's overwhelming dominance crushed Zhuo Fan. Not even Zhuo Fan could face this monster gnashing his teeth. Xie Tianshang was tense. Yu Yushan, however, was cackling mad. Both sides' leaders had monstrous talent, but when it came to measuring fists, Huang Pu Qingtian won by a landslide. Zhuo Fan had no way to fight back. The uninvited guest in the shadows nodded. Huang Pu Qingtian has the advantage in body, but Zhuo Fan is far more flexible and crafty. He is better by far, and this is when he isn't even in the profound heaven stage. If the two were of equal cultivation, this fight would have ended a long time ago. Huang Pu Qingtian drew the same conclusion, which only fueled his desire to kill. To new heights. Zhuo Fan presented himself as a real and tangible threat to him. He never got the same feeling from the other 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, and only looked at them with disdain, even when forced to deal with their cooperation. On the other hand, Zhuo Fan was a great threat to him. Even more so now that he saw Zhuo Fan cower the Bloodcroc horde and trampled all over his royal face. It was a wake-up call. That Zhuo Fan was the same as him, qualified to be king. With a cold glint in his eye, Huang Pu Qingtian barked, "Zhuo Fan, is your art only good at running away?" Yeah. Zhuo Fan was blunt as a birch stump, not forgetting his evil grin as he counted on his fingers. Running, assassination, scouting, spying, and let's not forget my favorite, ring stealing. It has quite wonderful applications, don't you think? That only pissed Huang Pu Qingtian off. He was looking to mock the man into attacking, but Zhuo Fan was way too calm, ignoring the cheap taunt and making a kingly comeback. His desire to murder Zhuo Fan on the spot spiked again. The shadow nodded. He knew how to appreciate talents detached from everything and looking at things with cool and critical eyes were the makings of a great Aravista. At the same time, Huang Pu Qingtian's image fell a notch in his eyes. The shadow slowly began to be partial toward Zhuo Fan, finding him to be the better seed. Taking a deep breath, Huang Pu Qingtian found himself in distress. Zhuo Fan was unlike Chu Qingsheng and the like. He could come and go as he pleased, with no one to stop him. He was the biggest headache there ever was when made an enemy. That magical art gave him an insurmountable advantage, so Huang Pu Qingtian pointed at his allies and barked, "What are you gawking at? Kill them already." The trio woke up with a start. Why had they stopped? We gotta box them in. Thus they gave the signal. Luo Yunhai's echelon formation was still shaken from the Bloodcroc horde, and their momentum slacked. They were losing with the enemy surrounding them. The couple thousand army had sunk into despair against the 10,000 enemies. Few were of Chu Qingqing's level to escape, while the rest would find their lives driven into the mud. Panicking, Luo Yunhai commanded, 3-round formation. In an instant, the 3 divisions became rotating barrels, blocking the enemy's onslaught. Yu Yushan wasn't worried, though. This formation was a defensive one. They would just have to whittle them down with numbers. Grinning, the 3 looked on coldly. Zhuo Fan frowned a bit. As long as his friends were stuck here, he was going nowhere and would sooner or later end up just as dead. Yu Yushan, leading the 10,000 army, not only entrapped Chu Qingqing's group, but also bogged down Zhuo Fan. 2 birds with 1 stone. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan, see how I trample them. Huang Pu Qingtian snickered. He was forcing Zhuo Fan to face him. Squinting, Zhuo Fan sported a cold smile. You'd lower yourself to such an extent? Moreover, you'd have done it already if you wanted to. Ha ha, indeed. I despise them, but now that you're here, things have changed. I'll take great delight in tearing them apart before your very eyes. Zhuo Fan tensed and secretly sighed, just like he thought. Huang Pu Qingtian left them alive, just so he could restrain him, but the cold smile never changed. Young Master Huang Pu, do you really think I'd let them drag me down? Oh, but isn't your young master with them as well? Huang Pu Qingtian's eyes glinted, having seen through him. He charged for the armies. It was also then when a wind whistled straight for him. This was what he was waiting for. He blocked the kick with his hand, releasing a metallic sound. Looking closer, he found Zhuo Fan eyeing him coldly. He finally decided to attack. Huang Pu Qingtian gave a crafty smile from having found Zhuo Fan's Achilles heel. He threw a devastating punch. The blow had the power of a mountain behind it. Zhuo Fan vanished, letting the punch pass him. The earth caved in tens of meters over a kilometer as a result of the massive impact. It kicked up a cloud of dust and shocked even the clashing armies from the immense power display. What power could do this? Zhuo Fan was sweating now. Blocking that would have earned him a quick trip down under. He looked at his friends helplessly, forced to clash this monster head on. Huang Pu Qingtian cackled at the floating Zhuo Fan, filled with scorn. I wonder for how long can you stop my advance? Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and charged. The effect each time was minimal. barely stalling Huangpu Qingtian's progress. His teleports saved him from the worst, but there was no way to escape, and scathe Huangpu Qingtian was inevitable. He royally took one step at a time toward his target as he unleashed his power. The sight of Zhuofan being played around like a mouse left the others in despair. Not even their last hope could stop the mighty heaven-shaking Dragon Lord, but only Chu Qingcheng saw through it and said nervously, "It's for us. Huangpu Qingtian is forcing Zhuofan's hand. We have to get out of here." It dawned on them what a disgrace they were. They became Zhuofan's shackles. But how are we supposed to break out when we're outnumbered? What do we do? Luo Yinhai sighed for even Luo Yinhai to come out empty. It showed how truly desperate a situation they were all in. Chu Qingcheng turned to her two allies. "Have you brought your spiritual beasts?" Their eyes lit up, reminded how their houses provided them with some high-level spiritual beasts. They were pressed at every turn all this time that they'd completely forgotten. The two nodded. Chu Qingcheng smiled and spoke heavily. "Use our trump cards. Release the beasts and clear a path." Chapter 295, Qiaoer's Appearance. Chapter 295, Qiaoer's Appearance. Shriek. A bird cry pierced the sky, heralding the appearance of a snow-white beast and plunging the area into a freezer to the shock of everyone. They found a 5-meter large white eagle looming overhead. It kicked up a snowstorm with each flap of its wings. Biting cold winds pierced the enemies in their charge, slowing them and freezing the hapless 5th-level spiritual beast, Netherwind Falcon. Chu Qingcheng shouted Xie Tianshang, and Long Xingyun weren't slow either roar. The reverberating roar drew one's attention to a 10-meter golden leopard. Its piercing eyes unnerved the staunchest of hearts, ready to pounce on them and maul their flesh. 5th-level spiritual beast, Golden Cloud Leopard. Xie Tianshang shouted, and mine, 5th-level spiritual beast, heaven-seething lava serpent. Long Xingyun pointed at a 50-meter-long python covered in rocks. Its eyes shooting flames. The descent of 3 5th-level mighty beasts struck fear in the hearts of the enemy. Each one was equal to a Radiant Stage expert. With 3 of them unleashed, the Tri-House Alliance's power was greatly boosted. Roar. Shriek. SSS. The only sensible reaction in the face of such a display was to shirk back. The 3 spiritual beasts started raining havoc within the enemy lines, darting to and fro unhinged. Not even profound heaven experts faced them as the cries of agony reached the sky. Chu Qingcheng's team made a breach. Even if that gap was now littered with corpses, Yinhai used the path to get us out. Chu Qingcheng pointed at the clearing. Luo Yinhai was about to do just that, but 3 cold laughs revealed Yi Yushan and his 2 allies looking down on them. Still, Yi Yushan only mocked them. Chu Qingcheng, aren't we all from the 7 houses? You think you're the only ones with pets? Don't take us lightly. Our reserves aren't the least bit weaker than yours. Yu Yushan snapped his fingers and revealed a blazing falcon 30 meters long. 5th-level spiritual beast, Scorching Eagle. Mine as well, 5th-level spiritual beast, 100 Eyes Pestilent Spider. Yin Bongi revealed a 50-meter-long, black as night tarantula. It spewed a thick miasma that cut off the path ahead. Chu Qingcheng's group found themselves back at a standstill. Lin Xianfeng snickered at their grave faces. "It's time for you to feast your eyes on my 5th-level spiritual beast, 9-clawed Windstoat." A sharp wind brushed by and revealed a short 1-meter-long skunk bearing its claws at them. The 6 spiritual beasts started fighting, with no clear winner in sight. The shockwaves blew away any poor soul too slow to react. These were the ripples from 6 Radiant Stage experts' attacks. Even a profound heaven expert would be sent to his death. The morale began to sink as fear set in. But the most feared were still the 7 houses. Only the likes of them could dish out 5th-level spiritual beasts that could fight a Radiant Stage expert to a standstill. The reveal of the 6 spiritual beasts only furthered the tug of war. Yu Yushan's side stayed back in fear of not being dragged into their battle. But Chu Qingcheng's group now had no way of breaking out either. It now became clear that they were doomed to wait for Huangpu Qingtian to come reap their lives. Chu Qingcheng turned to the others. This stalemate is the worst outcome for us. Does anyone have a 5th level spiritual beast that can help? All she got was eye rolls. What do you take us for? You think we're that well off to raise a 5th level spiritual beast? Chu Qing Chang sighed in sorrow, while Yu Yushan sighed, was having a field day at their expense. The longer this dragged on, the greater the danger. Huangpu Qingtian glanced over-satisfied. Before turning to Zhua Fan, I didn't think they would use their trump card so soon. A shame it changed nothing. Zhua Fan frowned, and his hand trembled. Ha ha ha, worried? Then I will help you feel at ease by not making you waste time on a bunch of soon-to-be corpses. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian shouted, Flaming Lion King in them. Roar. The imposing power pierced the hearts of everyone as a flaming winged lion pounced on Chu Qingqing's army, 6th level spiritual beast, Flaming Lion King. They all gasped in fear. None saw it coming. That Huangpu Qingtian's spirit animal would be a 6th level spiritual beast. It was going to throw the stalemate in the enemy's favor. The Tri-House Alliance's spiritual beasts shuddered from the lion's roar. Their power cut down. They were pushed back by the other 3 spiritual beasts, were finished. Chu Qingqing's army was filled with despair and frustration as the savage lion unleashed waves of flame in its path, even though they die either way. Up till now, they at least had the chance to take as many as they could down with them, with even some profound heaven experts cherishing the faint hope of survival. But now that the Lion King was here, all hope was lost. Their lives were now waiting for the flames of war to burn them to cinders. Yu Yushan side-laughed. Zhua Fan kept on shuddering. He didn't get to act as a twisted and maniacally voice grated his ears. If you leave, who's to hold me back? Huangpu Qingtian cackled. He was having a blast seeing Zhua Fan so conflicted. After suffering at his hand for so many times, he finally had vindication. It felt good taking a deep breath. Zhua Fan found himself in a bind with 2 threats on a collision course with Chu Qingqing's group. He could only pick one. It was such a nerve-wracking decision that he felt lost regardless of what he picked, but then his thunder ring flickered. Zhua Fan felt the impatience and hatred within Xiaoer. He was startled and perplexed at its impatience. But he soon knew why Flaming Lion King was the same beast who had killed his mother. Although a different one, the thirst for revenge remained. Its hatred ran bone deep for what it had done to its mother. But how was the young Xiaoer going to fight against the Flaming Lion King? It was only a 4th level spiritual beast. The answer was picked for him as Xiaoer had reached its limit and the thunder ring flickered stronger. Sigh. It's not like it will change anything. Zhua Fan gnashed his teeth, having made a decision. Young Master Huangpu, I may not be able to split myself, but what you have, well, so do I. With a snicker, Zhua Fan flourished. Come, Xiao. In a flash of purple, a purple lightning shot for Flaming Lion King. Xiaoer only had one thing on its mind. Revenge, what is that? Yu Yushan peered at the lightning glow. Yin Bongi said, It appears to be a thunder skylark, a 6th level spiritual beast. But why is it purple? What? 6th level spiritual beast? He has one too. Lin Xianfeng panicked. Won't this end up in a standstill again? Yin Bongi took a closer look before giving a deprecating shake of his head. Relax, that won't happen. This thunder skylark is only a chick at the 4th level. It's no match for an adult Flaming Lion King. Besides, an adult thunder skylark would fare no better. Lin Xianfeng laughed. Haha, what's up with Zhua Fan then? Is he so fed up with his useless spiritual beast that he wants to give it to the Lion King as a snack? That set the other 2 laughing, while on Chu Qingqing's side, they were hopeful a treacherous man like Zhua Fan had to have an amazing spirit animal only to feel their hopes crumble at the sight of a young thunder skylark, a mere 4th level spiritual beast, and they resumed despairing. Even Zhua Fan felt how hopeless it was to even let such a meager support out. With great hope came an equally great disappointment as they all sighed, resigned to their fates. Huangpu Qingtian wasn't about to let this golden chance go and mocked the chick as well. Zhua Fan, are you that desperate to even send your useless spiritual beast to its death? What can I say? If it wants to die, I can't stop it. Shrugging, Zhua Fan didn't seem to care, but the worry in his eyes was unmistakable. Even he didn't know of Xiaoer's power. Common sense dictated that a fourth-level spiritual beast wouldn't be considered even a side dish to a sixth-level spiritual beast. Xiao's chances were between nil and infinitesimal, catching on to Zhuofan's worry. Huangpu Qingtian capitalized on it to put his own worries to rest. The punk has no overt scheme in play at all. He is on the ropes. That last one made his day, and he smiled from ear to ear. In the meantime, Xiao was already behind the flaming Lion King. It had everyone's full attention. Even their breath was caught in their throat at the imminent clash. Chapter 296, Purple Lightning's Superiority. Chapter 296, Purple Lightning's Superiority. Roar. Flaming Lion King's roar grated ears as it showed its dominance. The 6th fifth-level spiritual beasts had long stopped to watch Yushan's group's spiritual beasts bend a knee and bowed their heads before the mighty Lion King. While on Chu Qingqing's side, their spiritual beasts knew when they were overpowered and shuddered as they inched backward again and again. It only worked to further let arrogance get to flaming Lion King's head, showing a scornful smile. It escaped his notice, or better yet, it brushed off Xiao's existence entirely, and it went the same for the other 6 spiritual beasts. What could a 4th-level spiritual beast possibly do in this hopeless situation? Chu Qingqing's side's spiritual beasts were vexed. It makes no difference even if you come foul. You're dead anyway. While the enemy's beasts looked on with mockery, Chu Qingqing's faction was plunged deeper in despair. If the purple thunder skylark instilled a trickle of hope earlier, it was now thoroughly squashed as spiritual beasts' senses were accurate. If they looked down on the chick, then it was clearly worthless. Shriek. Not that Xiao cared what any of them thought of it. It only had eyes for flaming Lion King. It cried from behind to call out the Lion King with a gaze burning with hatred and thirst for battle. Flaming Lion King swished his head back, glaring at Xiao, itching to eat it and quench its anger. You dare challenge me? Xiao's plumes flickered and purple sparks traveled all over it. If that wasn't clear enough, then the thick bloodthirst made it abundantly obvious it wanted the Lion King's head on a platter. The Lion King was royally pissed when Xiao didn't stop its cries. You wretched and filthy whelp. No thunder skylark can match me. But you, a chick, thinks it can? For you to challenge my authority, the punishment is death. Roar. With another angry roar, flaming Lion King started showing its violent side. The frightened 6 spiritual beasts were already meek, not even squawking. Xiao was the only exception. Its eyes were fixed on the bronze lion, and its screeches never stopped taunting it. The fully incensed flaming Lion King opened its maw and spewed a 3-meter big fireball. Not even a profound heaven expert could block such a blow. He'd be turned to ashes. Everyone watched on edge, worried for the thunder skylark's fate. Xuan Xiang was panicking, turning to Xie Tianyang. Brother Tianyang, Big Brother's bird looks so pitiful. Please save it. Ugh. Cold sweat filled the silent Xie Tianyang. He turned to the unbearably naive Xuan Ningxiang with an aggrieved look. Ning'er, if the bird is pitiful, I am even more so. Have you forgotten our time in Allbeast Mountain Range, of the fight between Flaming Lion King and Thunder Skylark? Now you're asking me to save a 4th-level spiritual beast when I am nowhere near as strong as a 6th-level spiritual beast? But it's just so pitiful. Xuan Xiang was saddened. Xie Tianyang shook his head, blamed Zhuofan. He knows it too, yet insists on sending it to its death. His words got nods from all around him. Puzzled as to why Zhuofan took this reckless course of action, Zhuofan himself tightened his fist from worry. Xiao, you are the embodiment of lightning and faster than Flaming Lion King. You must dodge. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. You must be thinking Flaming Lion King can't catch up to Thunder Skylark speed, right? Ha ha ha. Have you forgotten whose spirit animal the Lion King is? Huangpu Qingtian gave Flaming Lion King a look. Flaming Lion King nodded and flapped its wings. A blazing tornado engulfed tiny Xiao, sealing all means of escape. Just as the fireball approached with its biggest advantage sealed, its fate was without a doubt certain death. Zhuofan panicked and sighed. How is the brash and overbearing flaming Lion King capable of such refined skill? Ha ha ha. You have a spirit animal and you don't know? Unlike spiritual beasts, a master can teach and train its pet martial arts according to their attributes. As I and Flaming Lion King are weak in speed, I devised this move to deal with quick enemies. Huang Pu Qing Tian snickered. Zhua Fan's anger swelled. He had always been a lone wolf. And since he never raised spirit animals before, he was oblivious to its implications. Now I didn't even have the time to regret this was Xiao's decision, and all he could do was support it. All consequences were for it to bear this was the demonic path he treaded. He hatched Xiao from a mere egg and was practically kin. Of course it would walk the same path as him. Boom! The fireball exploded on Xiao. It combined with the fire tornado in a tremendous bang. Releasing a torrent of flames, Xuan Ningxiang clutched her ears, ducking behind Xie Yang in fear as she observed the flaming explosion in dismay. The others sighed. Here lie the bones of an overconfident creature. Zhua Fan gnashed his teeth, refraining from looking, and clenched his fists. Further, Huang Pu Qing Tian beamed. He wasn't in the habit of letting an opponent's weakness pass by, making sure to drive home as much hurt as he could muster through his condescending. Zhua Fan, you truly are empty inside. To even send that young spirit animal to its death. Boom! A thunder cut his mockery short. It came from within the fiery blaze. Purple lightning streaked the skies and pulverized the flames into nothing. Xiao was revealed at the center of the purple lightning. Its eyes were raging as before, bent on killing the Lion King where it stood. How in God's name is that possible? Shock and awe was prevalent down below. The worst off were the 6 5th-level spiritual beasts. Not in a million years had they considered it possible for a 4th-level spiritual beast to survive the Lion King's head-on assault. What skill is that? Huang Pu Qing Tian was no different. Since when did Thunder Skylark have such a skill? Zhua Fan looked at the sky and frowned, only to see Xiao wrapped in a purple cocoon of lightning. The errant purple lightning hammered the flames and evaporated at mere touch. Zhua Fan was speechless. He found the purple shield familiar and realized where it came from. It was the same as Lightning Canyon's protective barrier. Is it? He didn't complete his thought as Xiao was on the move again. Shriek. Xiao called out Flaming Lion King once again. But it wasn't all talk now. Releasing its all in the upcoming clash, purple lightning snaked from its body, twisting space itself. The pressure grew from such a mighty display, to the point it felt as if the end of days was upon them. The 5th-level spiritual beasts weren't the only ones terrified of the imminent danger. Even humans found Xiao dreadful. Why is a 4th-level spiritual beast far more dangerous than a 6th-level one? Even Flaming Lion King squinted, moving backward with a grave face. Who'd have thought the same Thunder Skylark he slided would unleash such power? Long Xingyun sighed, was dumbfounded. They were more than a little familiar with Xiao's power. Little Jia, don't you find that lightning? Long Xingyun stared wide-eyed. Long Kuei nodded. Yes, it's Uncle Jio's purple lightning, but far stronger. Long Xingyun gasped, shocked to the extreme. He had never dreamed he'd ever see the might of God Eye Long Jio. The power he was famed for, purple lightning God Eye, being displayed here, and on a far greater scale and power. On a spiritual beast, no less. Huang Pu Qing Tian was completely floored. Zhua Fan. That's a Thunder Skylark. In the flesh. The one I rear myself. Zhua Fan grinned, sponging off another's achievements without even a twitch. He pointed at the lion and barked. Xiao, put an end to that eyesore. Ding! Its pair of eyes shone with bloodthirst as Xiao's sharp claws glinted. With a flap of its lightning wings, it zoomed for Flaming Lion King like a thunder god. All eyes were on Xiao. The next moment, the entire sky flashed purple and people's hearts seized. Chapter 297, Turning the Tide. Chapter 297, Turning the Tide. Elite Coder. Roar. This time people found the shout a bit off. One could feel the haughtiness subside, and even detect a hint of fear. Flaming Lion King's shaking body kept moving backwards as it stared at incoming purple lightning. Franticness touched its eyes, and it started spitting fireballs and flapped its wings to keep the dreaded purple lightning at bay. Fireballs dozens of meters big flew out, accompanied by blazing tornadoes. Anything to stop Shower. This power was enough to sunder earth and burn the sky. The 6th, 5th level spiritual beasts had long since cowered away in fear the power of 6th level spiritual beast. However, Shower was relentless. Lightning streaked its body as it slipped through the cracks in the flames, arriving 5 meters from the Flaming Lion King and coming face to face with a firestorm. Its eyes squinted and whirled. It charged through, with the purple lightning wrapped around it, acting as a drill, piercing the flames and rendering them void. Boom. The struck fireballs exploded in a spectacular fashion. Flaming Lion King was beside itself in fear, and the next thing it knew was its reflection in Shower's cold eyes. Shower ran through Flaming Lion King's chest before he could even think about dodging. Scarlet blood gushed from the hole like a flood. Flaming Lion King was watching. Its wound paralyzed it. A great 6th level spiritual beast had actually found its end at the claws of a young Thunder Skylark, a 4th level spiritual beast, in one move. Its eyes grew heavy, its body colder, evident from the flickering flames over its body. Flaming Lion King felt itself slipping into the dark abyss. Yet still wanted to go on. However, the hole in his chest was too great, and he soon found his sight go black before collapsing. SSS. Gasping, the crowd never saw it coming. A 4th level spiritual beast killing a 6th level spiritual beast? Ridiculous. Fan was just as shocked. Shower had exceeded his expectations, especially that killing blow. The average Thunder Skylark didn't have such skills. Thunder Skylark was a mild 6th level spiritual beast. It only knew to use its lightning to cover its body in defense, but never to focus it into an attacking skill. This was where Shower differed from the norm. It used the 4th heaven purple lightning and even comprehended 2 skills, one for defense and another for attack. It was uncontested proof of its sentience. Other spirit animals, like Flaming Lion King, were trained in skills by humans, while Shower picked them up by itself. The difference was obvious, like comparing heaven and earth, and what did it mean if a spiritual beast gained sentience? The chance to evolve into a sacred beast. This had never happened among spiritual beasts, nor the appearance of someone like Shower either. A never-before-seen spiritual beast born from purple lightning. Fan did not yet know where the purple lightning came from. He was still debating if the Heavenly Emperor created it or obtained it somehow, but one thing he did know was purple lightning wasn't just sparkles to instill such fear into even the likes of sacred beasts. Shower had bathed in this almighty power and had a high chance of evolving. The last thought really got his blood flowing. Am I going to have a sacred beast spirit animal? While he was in his own little world, the others were dazed, the 6th, 5th level spiritual beasts included. They all looked wide-eyed at the purple figure who knew a 4th level spiritual beast ever had it in him to kill a 6th level spiritual beast. Surely not them. Not to mention it was overkill how it happened. This is insane. Illogical, absurd. It went beyond human and beast comprehension alike. Neither side was capable of staring truth in the face. Huangpu Qingtian was the prime example. Seeing his strongest spirit animal killed like nothing, it had messed up the mind of this poor king. What the hell is that thing? Everyone was so out of it and looking at the slight figure in the air until... Shriek! Shower flapped its wings, celebrating its conquest. The cry pierced through the people's haze, but the fear still lingered. The little guy is Fan's equivalent in the spiritual beast world. A monster. Sigh, like master, like pet. The people lamented, watching the purple figure in envy. Fan's eyes shined. Shower, clear a path for them to break free. The crowd was in complete shock, while only Yushan's side was panicking. That thing is stronger than a 6th level spiritual beast. Clearing a path meant going through them. Chu Qingqing's side was jubilant, and Fan's image grew in their hearts. That's our Zhua fan. He always pulls through for us. Shriek. Shower complied with his order and dived. He began by peppering the 3/5 level spiritual beasts with purple lightning boom. The lightning smashed down like hail, forcing the spiritual beasts to scatter to and fro in fear. Where did this freak come from? And why is this abnormality set on us? Yu Yushan's side was nervous. It wouldn't be long before their beasts would be bombarded to pieces. All the crying in the world wouldn't bring them back then. Robbed of any choice, in fear and anxiety, Yu Yushan's side recalled their spiritual beasts. As long as Shower was looming overhead, no one dared take their spirit animal out ever again, having lost its targets. Shower flew around unhinged, releasing purple lighting like a veritable thunderstorm and killing all in its path. Cries of horror pierced the sky and the ears of Yu Yushan and his two allies as they scattered for cover in their lives. Who the hell had the time to keep Chu Qingcheng in a deadlock? Luo Yinhai soon found their path cleared and just strutted out like the enemy wasn't even there. Quite understandable when the same enemy was now screaming and running for their lives. The eyes on Xiao were that of awe, shock, and fear. Looking at it dominating the battlefield with its power and valor left them sighing. If Shuafan's spirit animal could turn the tides so easily, why didn't he take it out from the start? How were they supposed to know Shuafan had no clue of Xiao's true might? You'd think he'd keep it stashed away instead of showing off otherwise. Xie Tianyang looked lost, his face stiff. Ning'er, do you still find the bird pitiful? With a veritable symphony of screams and wails gracing her ears, Xuan Ningxiang went beet red as she said, no, but the men facing it sure are. Everything that Zhuafan throws out is insane. Not even his pet is normal. Xie Tianyang sighed. Just how did he do it? How the hell did he raise such a monstrous spiritual beast? Enough chatter. We need to get out of here first. Chu Qingchang snapped, then gave a nod to Luo Yunhai, who signaled, charge. With Chao providing cover fire, they breezed through the enemy lines. No one wanted to stop them either, not unless they wanted to be left smoking and sizzling after a bath of purple lightning. Huangpu Qingtian stared wide-eyed at the escaping prey and raved, a bunch of useless mongrels dare foil my plans? You have another thing coming. Ha ha ha, what if you include me? Whoosh. Zhuafan popped up before him and kicked his face. Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Humph, you think you can stop me? The only reason you've lived so far is because I was toying with you. You truly believe me to be this weak? Huangpu Qingtian's punch this time left the impression of a rock 50 meters tall crashing down on Zhou Fanbam. Yet when the two attacks clashed, Zhuafan's leg flickered purple. A boom resounded as Huangpu Qingtian felt an incredible force stagger him, followed closely by Zhuafan's evil grin. Ha! Who wasn't? Boom! Huangpu Qingtian was forced back 5 steps. Zhuafan didn't let him recover and punched this time, his hand wrapped in purple lightning. Young Master Huangpu, we're the same, you and I. None of us will use our aces until the last moment. Squinting, Zhuafan's smirk widened and he hammered Huangpu Qingtian's chest. Huangpu Qingtian rushed his hand to defend boom. Another powerful blast revealed purple lightning streaking across the ground, now disintegrated in 1,000 meters range. His punch was not one bit less than Huangpu Qingtian's earlier strike. Chapter 298. All's within my grasp. Chapter 298. All's within my grasp. As dust billowed, the boom traveled 1,000 miles. Yu Yushan's side couldn't pierce the veil of dust and were beside themselves with shock. Who knew Zhuafan was capable of such power? So much so that it almost overwhelmed Huangpu Qingtian. The worry was prevalent in all, but none ventured forth to clarify it. They were too afraid to interfere between soaring demonic dragon and heaven-shaking dragon lord's deathmatch. When the dust settled, all they saw was a mess. When they double-checked, the two were nowhere in sight. They scrunched up the little courage they had and investigated the disaster, but the sudden explosion scared them back. Looking at the source, they found Huangpu Qingtian shooting from the ground. Wretched and dirty he may look unseemingly, but but there was no apparent wound on him. The shock was palpable at Huangpu Qingtian's state. Taking into account the force behind that fist, yet him coming out unharmed in the least, surged them with joy and admiration. Eldest young master, you're okay. Yu Yushan's gang dashed over, taking a deep breath. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes glinted coldly, but he wasn't looking at them. Where's Zhuofan? The three were confused, until Yu Yushan came forth with a bow. Eldest young master, Zhuofan's punch unleashed a cloud of smoke. Once the dust finally settled, we only saw the eldest young master appear. We saw no trace of him. I suspect he has already fled. Brow shuddering, Huangpu Qingtian spread his discerning field for a more precise investigation. Certain that Zhuofan was gone, he said, and Chu Qingqing's group? Blushing, the three hanged their heads. Forgive us, eldest young master. We let them escape. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes flashed icily, reeling. The three broke out in sweat. They wished for Huangpu Qingtian's cursing so badly right now. At least it would vent some of his anger. Anything was better than this eerie silence. The fear of not knowing his thinking was only mounting. One day, Huangpu Qingtian may very well be so angry as to strike them down. The three shuddered in horror, trying to scour for a gesture, anything that betrayed his state of mind. Huangpu Qingtian kept silent for a long time before finally smiling. Let them run. It won't change anything. The three were stunned, having never seen Huangpu Qingtian like this, and didn't know how to react. Wait, is this the same cold-blooded eldest young master? Not only did his scheme come apart at the seams, but he also lost a brimming sacred pill and a 6th-level spirit animal. No to mention he invested so much effort in this plan too. But even after gaining nothing from it, he isn't flying into a rage? Am I dreaming? Did he flip? Baffled by the sudden turn of events, they looked on at him in bewilderment, like he was a different man, easily picking up on their thoughts. Huangpu Qingtian showed a vague smile. Don't forget our mission in this battle. How can we? It's the position as head of the 7 houses. Lin Xianfeng let it slip, having nothing but scorn for the man. Huangpu Qingtian shook his head. Regent Estate has been the head for 1,000 years, and not because of his child's play, but by raw power. We don't need this insipid game to prove anything. Not now, not ever. Huangpu Qingtian instilled fear in each one of them with his declaration. That's the Regent Estate we know, unchanged for 1,000 years. Is it for brimming sacred pills, then? Yu Yushan ventured, grinning. Huangpu Qingtian shook his head again. Brimming sacred pill is a rare 8th-grade pill that even the Regent Estate covets. However, that is hardly our goal. Then please enlighten us. Eldest young master. Yin Bongi bowed. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes burst with coldness as he clenched his crackling fist. Zhuofan. What? The crowd was in complete shock. Sure, Zhuofan was like a disease, but the esoteric debate was held once a century to settle the power struggle between the clans. Yet he was saying that Regent Estate only joined because of one man. Aren't you overthinking things? His cold eyes swept the crowd, lingering longer on his 3 allies. Then Huangpu Qingtian clarified their doubts. Do you believe Zhuofan and esoteric debate to be 2 separate matters? Despite everyone avoiding his powerful and steady gaze, there were nods. Ignorance. Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Fools. You have that wretched mentality that says he is only a talented cultivator, that you will sooner or later put him down with the power of your houses. What if I tell you that as long as he's around, Luo clan will stand abreast the 7 houses in 10 years, surpass us in 20, and in 30, it will be the strongest clan in Tianyu that not even all 7 houses together can oppose? Will you still think this esoteric debate to be nothing but a boring game? This can't be. This was too much to bear. Yu Yushan was even denying it as he second-guessed Huangpu Qingtian's words. Eldest young master, aren't you exaggerating? The legacy of the 7 houses is 1,000 years old. He won't reach our level in a century, not to mention decades. Exaggerate? Ha ha ha. If it was me saying that, your reaction would be inexcusable. albeit understandable. However, the crowd was hanging on every one of his words. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. What if it came from Serlong? Would you doubt the words of a cunning man with ineffable plans like the unwanted contriver? What? Lung Wuchang said that? They just got the shock of their lives. For even Lung Wuchang to say that, it meant the prediction had to be true. They just couldn't wrap their head around how Zhuo Fan, being a monster gifted with such godlike skills. Huangpu Qingtian smiled at their skepticism. Serlong said he is of incredible talent, equal to Zhuge Changfeng. He only needs to grasp power, and he will soar beyond anyone's reach. That is why we need to clip his wings before he can fully spread them, or the 7 houses will soon be no more. Shame drifting flowers edifices, veiled dragon pavilion, and sword marquis abode are too blind to see it. They are playing with fire standing behind him, and will find one day robbed of everything. But the Luo clan is under the imperial family's protection, and they have Dugu Zhantian for support. We are without means to strike him down in any other circumstances. The only way to eradicate him is to do it within the bounds of the esoteric debate. Huangpu Qingtian turned his bloodthirsty eyes to them. That is why our main mission in the esoteric debate is to get Zhuo Fan's head. Everything else is secondary. The others turned grave, realizing Huangpu Qingtian had finally revealed Regent Estate's real objective for the esoteric debate, but this was nigh impossible to achieve. Harder than gathering the brimming sacred pills and facing spiritual beasts after witnessing Zhuo Fan's mystical abilities, they came to realize that he was unrivaled beneath the radiant stage. Even the heaven-shaking Dragon Lord, the strongest of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, had allegedly barely overpowered him. But when they thought about ignoring him, that was an absolute no, or Huangpu Qingtian would have turned him into a bloody damn smear by now. Why waste so much time explaining it to us? Eldest young master, how are we to go about purging Zhuo Fan? Our best chance was when we had everyone cornered and Zhuo Fan was forced to stay. But now they will be on guard and make it even harder. Yu Yushan sighed, grinning. Huangpu Qingtian said, that was our best chance? Ha, merely bait. The punk has bit on it, and all that is left is to wait for the poison to take its effect. Everyone was clueless, ignoring them. Huangpu Qingtian turned towards where Chu Qingqing's group was last seen. Ha ha ha. They thought they'd escaped when in fact they fell right for it. Not even the cunning Zhuo Fan has hope of breaking out of Serlong's personally designed master plan. Relax, all's within my grasp. The others shuddered, clueless as to what got into him, and since Serlong intervened himself, then this should be a done deal. Serlong was hailed as the #1 schemer. With a 0 fail rate, the shadow tailing them was startled. I've heard of Tian Yu's unwanted contriver, but never imagined he will lower himself to deal with a junior. Heaven-shaking Dragon Lord is talented and powerful, but now he even has Lung Wuchang behind him. Zhuo Fan, you are up against peak experts in both brawn and brains. If you fail, it's only fair I discard you. But if you win, you just became a hot commodity. Chapter 299, Array Map. Chapter 299, Array Map. Rustle. A shadow streaked the sky, flashing in and out of view every mile. When he finally stopped, he had crossed tens of miles, listening to the ruckus a few miles out. He just gave a nod, more to himself, and was gone again. The final appearance was in the middle of the group who. Xie Tianshang shouted, sword at the ready. He saw everyone look on with joy. Oh, you're finally back. Yeah, so what are you standing with your weapon drawn for? Put it away, will you? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. Xie Tianshang shook his head as he did just that. Brother Zhuo is right. I wish to learn a lot from you in a spar, but it doesn't seem appropriate to do it in the middle of a crisis. Zhuo Fan's face twitched. That's a martial fanatic for you. His mind is ever skewed in thinking fighting came first. At least he isn't a lost cause and a complete battle maniac yet. Zhuo Fan's return was met with jubilation all around, as if he had become the true winner of that little skirmish back there. Even the vassals forgot about their true masters, and they looked up at him in reverence. It was only a matter of time. With the three houses now willing to follow Zhuo Fan's every word, it was obvious who the little clans would choose. Zhuo Fan's earlier turning point was the crux. If not for his timely help in clearing a path, they would have been mowed down. They had witnessed it themselves. It was no wonder he was hailed as a savior. Zhuo Fan's image soared in their minds. Zhuo Fan, are you hurt? Chu Qingsheng came over. She saw the light scratches and spoke softly. Her face was calm, but the eyes spoke volumes of the deep care and worry she had for him. Zhuo Fan brushed it off and switched topics. It's fine. But Huangpu Qing Tian isn't a pushover. Oh, what of Ning'er and my spirit animal? Chu Qingchang dimmed, knowing he didn't want to talk about it. She was so aggrieved for not being able to make sense of his thinking. Dong Tianba graced her with a thorough analysis of Zhuo Fan's heart's ranking. But it was just that, guesswork. In the end, only Zhuo Fan knew what he was thinking, and this got Chu Qingsheng vexed the most. Any woman wished to know if the one they love thought about her the most. Then there's Zhuo Fan, who is always so vague and dodgy that no one could get a single clue what went on in that big brain of his. Brother Zhuo, your spirit animal is so fierce none of us dare even approach. What is even stranger, it seems to have taken a particular liking to young Miss Shui and second young Master Xie. Look for yourself. Long Xingyun smiled and pointed above. Zhuo Fan was dumbstruck. He saw a purple lightning drifting through the clouds. And on Xiaoer's back was a man and woman having a blast. Who else but Xuan Ningxiang and Xie Tianyang? Zhuo Fan felt depressed at their entertainment. A thunder skylark is a high-level spiritual beast, so what is it doing getting so attached to strangers? But then it dawned on him Xuan Ningxiang and Xie Tianyang wore thunder rings he refined from Xiaoer's mother. They held its mother's scent. Such an outcome was obvious. Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan sighed. Fate, I guess. That threw the others off. Xiaoer noticed Zhuo Fan and chirped cheerfully. Seeing where they were flying, Xuan Ningxiang waved, Big brother Zhuo, welcome back. Only Xie Tianyang's mood sank. Here comes the third will. Smiling, Zhuo Fan gestured for Xiaoer to come next to him. Xuan Ningxiang jumped off the bird and skipped over with rosy cheeks and a sweet smile. Big brother Zhuo, is it the same thunder skylark young we found in Allbeast Mountain Range? Yeah, I got a hatch. Zhuo Fan ruffled her hair. Xuan Ningxiang bobbed her head and treated Xiaoer as seeing an old friend. How adorable, just like its mother. Her words set the crowd off in a round of twitching. Zhuo Fan wasn't exempt. If there was anyone among them who'd call Xiaoer adorable, then that would be the ever-naive Xuan Ningxiang. They recalled with dread how Xiaoer flew in a circle once and blasted experts to smithereens. How in hell is that adorable? They all went silent, having no clue how to break its shriek. Xiaoer's sharp cry and piercing eyes raised everyone from their stupor to demand. You dare say I'm not? Go on, make my day. Shivering, they all bobbed their heads, completing the image with a bright smile and a soaked back. Having got its wish, Xiaoer chirped and gave Xuan Ningxiang a smile. Zhuo Fan shook his head at how fast the beast and girl had hit it off. Is Xiaoer taking Ning'er as its mother? Zhuo Fan's cheeks went ablaze as his mind spun. He was Xiaoer's dad and Ning'er its mom. Then he and Ning'er. Oi, Zhuo Fan, how the hell have you been raising it? It's no less monster than you are. Mind giving it to me? Xie Tianyang showed his greedy side that caught Xie Tianshang's attention. Looking at Zhuo Fan expectantly, he wasn't thinking what an asset such a strong spiritual beast would be to Sword Marquis's abode. Oh no, he only saw the spiritual beast as an endless sparring partner to hone his edge. Martial fanatic. Do I need to say more? Zhuo Fan arched an eyebrow. What do you think? No. Xie Tianyang's face twitched, then cut the crap. Zhuo Fan glared. Who in their right mind would give away a potential sacred beast? He didn't have to screw loose. Xie Tianyang shrugged. Just saying, geez, can't you take a joke? Though the envy had yet to fade from his eyes every time he saw Xiaoer, this spirit animal was just too damn overpowered. Just the fact that Zhuo Fan had such an insane spirit animal was enough to spur Sword Marquis's abode's desires. Xie Tianyang saw Xuan Ningxiang cuddling Xiaoer, and his heart sank. Though no one noticed, once the pleasantries were over and done with, it was time to return to the grim and bitter reality. Brother Zhuo, what do we do now? Long Xingyun asked. Zhuo Fan muttered. Our main priority is to find the keys and exit stones. To leave this place at once. We'll just ignore brimming sacred pills, as life is far more precious. I can search for them myself, if I have to. The words cut deep, and they sighed with hanged heads. He didn't need to be so blunt about it for them to understand. They were dead weights, pure and simple. The earlier battle was proof enough. They were the reason for Zhuo Fan's limited actions. If he was alone, he could come and go as he wished. They all turned bleak, but knew the truth in Zhuo Fan's words. In this battle, they had no advantage whatsoever and would sooner or later end up as Huangpu Qingtian's pawns in this damnable place. If they lingered, none spoke as they watched Zhuo Fan gloomily. Xie Tianshang broke the silence with a sigh. We still want to fight, but Brother Zhuo is right. With how weak we are, it's better we leave. Long Xingyun, take it out. We and Brother Zhuo need to consult on the best way to leave this place. Zhuo Fan looked at them puzzled. Do they have a secret weapon? Easing a breath, Long Xingyun revealed a piece of silk. I am a man living in the present. I do not care as much about the esoteric debate as Brother Xie does. But going home in such a wretched state is not what I want to see. Zhuo Fan unfolded the silk and cried. Beast King Mountains Array Exit Map. On the detailed map, 5 points stood out, the 5 national elemental stones meant to take them home. With the yin-yang metal keys, all they had to do now was get to the metal exit, and they'd be home free. Zhuo Fan stared at the others. Can it be trusted? Long Xingyun spoke seriously. That's what we would like to know by consulting you. With a shout, some profound heaven experts were hoisting 2 scared people over. At the sight of them, Zhuo Fan sported an odd look as he said, You again. The 2 were bitter and shuddered on the ground with lowered heads. Chapter 300 Battle of the Minds. Chapter 300 Battle of the Minds. Kai shouting, Sun Yufei, didn't I tell you to be at home? What are you doing here? And captives again, no less. Zhuo Fan mocked them for all their little worth. The 2 kneeled there bitterly and wretched. Not once making eye contact with Zhuo Fan, Long Xingyun said startled, Brother Zhuo, you know them? Meet the Luo clan traitors. His father was an elder in the clan, and even close to the old clan head. Despite their transgression, Yinhai had a good heart and spared them. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Oh, and why did you capture them? Don't you know killing them is far easier? Long Xingyun gasped, then said solemnly, To tell you the truth, we stumbled upon them not long after we escaped the killing blood marsh. I wasn't planning on sparing them, but we found this map on them as well as 2 keys and a brimming sacred pill. Him. Long Kuei's signal came a tad too late, however. The damage was done. Long Xingyun now realized the error of his ways. Telling him about the map and keys was enough. What was I thinking bringing up the brimming sacred pill? Zhuo Fan perked up at the mention of those 3 little words, and his eyes practically shined. Brother Long, what of the vial? Oh, we found it. I realize that, but won't it be safer with me? Zhuo Fan's demonic smile came next, followed by a genial smile. What if it were to fall in Huangpu Qingtian's hands? That would be awful. We can't have everyone's interest be laid to waste because of one man, now do we? Zhuo Fan's righteous speech didn't forget to include the public interest. Long Xingyun lost the moral high ground and handed the pill in defeat. He had hoped to enter the radiant stage with this pill. But now, that ship had sailed. Long Xingyun wished he could tear his running mouth off. How could he be so stupid? Xie Tianyang and Long Kuei knew Zhuo Fan's character the best and only had sighs of pity. Once it's in Zhuo Fan's clutches, there's no getting it back. With a gratified flash of light, Zhuo Fan tucked the pill in the safety of his ring. He looked at the despondent Long Xingyun, even more pleased with 3 brimming sacred pills in the bag. A ring, only the last one was left, and he'd have milked the esoteric debate dry, finding 2 extra keys on Long Xingyun as well. With the icing on the cake, it just so happened that he had a pair of keys as well. He could already open the fire and earth exits now. He could now leave this place whenever he wished with his spoils. Victory was at hand. The only problem was punching through Huangpu Qingtian's blockades alone. He'd be home by now. But with so many people dragging their feet behind him, Zhuo Fan's eyes landed on the kneeling duo, Brother Long fears the map may be a trap. That is what I assume, yes. Long Xingyun brushed past Zhuo Fan's open appropriation of his wealth and said, they say as early as 2 weeks ago, Huangpu Qingtian sent them in search of the keys to have full control of the battlefield. But I still feel this is too much of a coincidence. We just got out of danger, yet met with these two who had the map we wanted. The more I think about it, the more I suspect it. That is why I had them on a leash until brothers were returned to discuss it. Zhuo Fan nodded inside. Long Xingyun was sloppy by nature, but he had a good head on his shoulders. At least the array map was clearly dubious, but for this fleeing group, it held absolute interest. The odds for a trap waiting for them was most likely certain, even if he absolutely knew about it being a trap. Its value outweighed the risks. This is one bait I can't refuse. Zhuo Fan squinted at the pair. You better answer my every question. If I found out you're lying, I'll make it so even death would be your most cherished wish. The two shuddered but nodded. The fear had them soaked in sweat. Zhuo Fan began. Did Huangpu Qingtian make you wait for us? And no, like we said, we stumbled upon you as we searched for the exits. There's nothing else to it. Kai shouting blurted. Zhuo Fan stared him down. The man was frantic, but finding no lies, he continued. Did you make this map after finding the arrays? No. The arrays are too spread out. It's impossible for us to find them. Kai shouting shook his head. Fearing Zhuo Fan would find his answer lacking, he rushed with, there were 5 teams of us, each with its own area to search. We used a jade slip to keep in touch and made the map. What the 2 keys and pill? We found them along the way. We used to have 2 pills, but a profound heaven expert stole one to take the credit and you took the last one. Kai shouting was heartbroken, his voice trailing off. How could we be so down on our luck? The 2 pills were our promise to greatness. But at some point, their other profound heaven expert team member took one for himself, and when they thought the other was enough to get something good, they ran into these guys. Forget about merits when we're having enough trouble keeping our heads. The 2 fell deeper in despair. Zhuo Fan saw them squirm and nodded. Long Xingyun added, Brother Zhuo, what if this is a trap as well? There's no need to say it. They were once part of the Luo clan and understand them enough to know if they lie. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. Long Xingyun and the rest were overjoyed. That validated the map as being genuine. They could survive this. Zhuo Fan shook his head, however. Don't be so quick to celebrate. The map could still be fake. What? The crowd was stunned, grinning. Zhuo Fan revealed a deep gaze. They are truthful. Yes, but that doesn't guarantee Huangpu Qingtian was honest to them as well. Now they looked puzzled as to why Zhuo Fan was still smiling. Doesn't that make this map useless? In another place, Huangpu Qingtian pointed at an identical map Zhuo Fan had. Yu Yushan, you will set up an ambush at the metal exit. Yin Bongyi, you will stake out the fire exit. Me and Lin Xianfeng will be watching the earth one. Remember what I said. Others do not matter, but one person has to breathe their last at all costs. Make sure they die in excruciating pain and suffering. The 3 felt uneasy. Eldest young master, we understand your wish. But will killing this person have any effect on Zhuo Fan? Yu Yushan frowned. With how he handed the exits locations along with keys and even a brimming sacred pill, they can now flee without worry. Wouldn't it have been better to give them a fake map? With an evil grin, Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Imbecile, you think you can fool Zhuo Fan's cunningness with a fake one. But isn't he far too paranoid to believe even the real one? Yin Bongyi frowned. Huangpu Qingtian smiled. All the more reason why we gave him everything to believe. Even the 2 prisoners are real. The 2 were purposefully kept in the dark, limiting their knowledge to the array map, keys, and pill. It's all because my men guided them from the shadows. Their words are without a doubt genuine. He will never realize we'd even lie to our men all so we could trap him. No matter how shrewd he is, he will never get one falsity out of those 2. The others lit up, with Lin Xianfeng giving a thumbs up in his flattery. Eldest young master is wise. Versed in pen and sword. Humph, this is part of Sir Lung's plan. I have nothing to do with it. Huangpu Qingtian shook his head. Holding the very last brimming sacred pill vial in his hand, Yushan looked at it with a sigh. Of our 3 pills, we only have 1. What are you so worried about? With Zhuofan's greedy nature, he won't be satisfied with just 3. He will want a last one as well. We just have to deal with him, and the others will be easy pickings. Huangpu Qingtian sneered. Follow the plan, and we will have the 3 vials as well as his head. Ha ha ha. Huangpu Qingtian's cackle got everyone excited. The operation to eradicate soaring demonic dragon was a go. Chapter 301 Mole. Chapter 301 Mole. A group of people were resting in the dense forest, while Long Xingyun, Xie Tiansheng, Chu Qingsheng, and Zhuofan inspected a map. Long Xingyun was the first to speak. Brother Zhuo, do you see something wrong with the map to call it fake? None whatsoever. Be it the captives or the map, they are both beyond reproach. Zhuofan shook his head and his gaze hardened. But there's no way I'd take it for granted when something so good just comes and falls into my lap. It goes double for something we need the most. Silence pervaded for a while. Then Chu Qingsheng ventured. Maybe we do not need this map. We could go opposite dash. Who says we don't need it? Zhuofan butted in with a smile. If it's real, that turns it into a trap. This makes it worth using it. Since they went out of their way to plan against us, we'll just beat them to the punch. The others didn't know where he was going with this, so Zhuofan held out the 3 sending jades. He left a message on them, then left one to each of them with a crafty smile. Wait for 5 days, then read it. Zhuofan jumped his feet and barked, listen up. When moving out, form 3 divisions around the 3 houses and split up for the 3 exits. Split up? Why make them weaker than they already were? Zhuofan handed over the exit keys and said, yes, split up. With our size, it's very easy to be spotted. Smaller teams will allow us to move unnoticed. In the case of an enemy encounter, it would also be simple to flee and hide among the thick trees. While others nodded, Chu Qingsheng pulled Zhuofan to the side. What if the map is fake and the exits hold nothing but traps? We won't know unless we try. We finally got an exit route as well. Even if we clash a few more times in the Beast King Mountain, it will be easy to escape while whittling down their bone-tempering experts' number. It will end with them being reduced to nothing. This is our best bet. Zhuofan put on a smile and turned to the rest. Each team will send out 3 profound heaven experts to scout 30 miles ahead, reporting back on the hour. Understood. They all replied, and Zhuofan said to Chu Qingsheng, even if they meet a trap, they can get an early notice. Glaring at him, Chu Qingsheng shook her head. You're full of tricks. As they all got ready to set off, Luo Yunhai's team followed behind, drifting flowers edifices, just as Long Xingyun brought the 2 prisoners. What do we do with them? Let them go. Zhuofan spoke coldly. The others whipped their heads around in shock. Long Xingyun was the most affected. They'll betray our plan if they're found. It will happen regardless. Recall what happened in Killing Bloodmarsh. We have a mole among us. These 2 situation has already been reported back. Letting them go or not won't make a difference. Zhuofan sighed. What a shocker. How could we forget? We still have a spy unaccounted for. Everyone looked around suspiciously. Zhuofan said, this isn't the time to draw him out. We'll do that once we get back to the safety of Dragon Cloud City. But a spy implies great danger. Xie Tiansheng's face hardened. Zhuofan sneered. What danger? He'll only rat out our movements. As long as we're fast enough, any information will be worthless and they won't be able to act on it. On the contrary, if we suspect each other all the time, it will be a disaster only they will profit from. So get a move on. Reach the 3 exits on the double. The people were startled for a second, then their opinion of him grew. They never knew you could deal with a spy like that, ignoring him, yet moving faster than he could report would be the same as turning him useless. The way Zhuofan boldly did things got even the army experienced Luo Yunhai in a daze. Not even Dugajantien led his army with such valor. Big Brother Zhuo is a true man of ambition to have so many great figures set their eyes on him. Set off. Let's see each other in Dragon Cloud City in 5 days. Zhuofan shouted, and the other replied in high spirits. As well, only Chu Qingsheng and her 2 allies knew his true, meaning the nearest exit was a week away. while the farthest was 10 days. He was speaking for their own benefit. To check the sending jade 5 days later, the three noticed Zhuofan's slight nod and smile. The group thus split into 3 divisions according to Zhuofan's orders. They moved swiftly, curious to see if they or the spy's leaks were faster. The forceful way Zhuofan dealt with the spy left the people fired up and eager for battle. Despite being a mere race to defeat the spy, to them it felt like they were battling against their greatest enemy. And winning too, they started to get a feeling of holding everything beneath them, of indomitable spirit, just like Zhuofan usually was. Everyone was united in their goal and hearts. Kai shouting took an ashen Sun Yufei away. As they passed Zhuofan, he asked, "Why let us go?" "No reason. Maybe I'm showing kindness for taking care of Luo clan in the early days. Or maybe I wish to see your agony for my sick humor. But I will admit to this, when it comes to garbage, killing or throwing it away makes no difference." Zhuofan left as well. Not minding them one bit, Kai shouting sighed and muttered, "Thank you." Then he slowly walked away with Sun Yufei. They had lost the hatred they clutched to so dearly, and it was now replaced by solitude. Recalling their derisory look when Zhuofan entered the Kai clan, it all seemed like a poor joke now. He was a true man of ambition and had brushed them off from the very start. It was them who kept having their goals growing higher and higher. The man had a clear vision of what he wanted, never changing. All others did. He finally realized that 8 years ago when Zhuofan left Blackwind Mountain, he and his father were in awe of the man's talent, but never held him in respect. It came to him that even his father belittled Zhuofan. Zhuofan had such a talent, lesser clansmen like them couldn't even begin to compare. Sighing, they slowly disappeared among the trees. "Big brother Zhuo, you're not coming with us?" Xuanning Xiang ran to him. Zhuofan shook his head. "There's something I must do. You and the Shui clan should go with Sword Marquis's abode. Xie Tianyang may be unreliable, but his brother is there to make it up for him. Few are his match, except Huangpu Qingtian. You'll be safe." "Boy, what are you implying? Who are you calling unreliable? What did I ever do to you to badmouth me to Ning?" Xie Tianyang was annoyed and grabbed Ninger's shoulder. "Ninger, don't worry. No one will hurt you with me around." But Xuanning Xiang didn't even register his presence. Her eyes fixed on Zhuofan, her voice soft. "When will we see each other again?" "In 5 days. Zhuofan smiled. "That's a promise. You have to come see me in 5 days. Xuanning Xiang held out her thunder ring. "You can't lie to me like you did in the All-Beast mountain range." Smiling, Zhuofan took out his own thunder ring and let them touch as sparks flew. "I won't." Xuanning Xiang smiled brightly. To the rancor and jealousy of Xie Tianyang, Xuanning Xiang then dragged a stiff Xie Tianyang back to Sword Marquis's abode's division. Zhuofan shook his head and left in another direction as he heard Xie Tianyang's incessant begging, "Ninger, let our rings touch as well." "No, why? I beg you." Zhuofan shook his head, then turned to the aged man following Luo clan. "Grandmaster Lu, come with me. I need your help." Lu Yizhen jerked, but got there on the double. The two flitted through the trees and were soon gone. Half a day later, they stood atop a mountain peak regarding the breathtaking view. Zhuofan took a deep breath and felt so free, relaxed, and soothed. Those dead weights are about to leave. "I haven't felt so at ease in ages." Lu Yizhen smiled and sighed as he bowed. In the esoteric debate this century, the Three Houses Alliance hardly did anything. They could only hold on because of Grandmaster Zhuo's support while they were holding you back. "You couldn't be more right." Zhuofan cocked his head with a smile. Lu Yizhen probed. "Then, Grandmaster Zhuo, what are your orders?" "Oh, no orders. I only want to know where Huangpu Qingtian is right now. Doesn't he have another brimming sacred pill? I should pay him a visit and receive it." Zhuofan's eyes flashed coldly. Lu Yizhen felt a shiver crawl up his spine. Chapter 302, Tangled. Chapter 302, Tangled. Grandmaster Zhuo, I do not understand. How can I hope to see into Huangpu Qingtian's faction's movements?" Swallowing dryly, Lu Yizhen froze, stammering and darting his eyes anywhere but Zhuofan grinning. Zhuofan shook his head. "My dear Grandmaster Lu, You're saying that even now? How would you leak our info if you didn't know his position? His heart beating out his chest, Lu Yijin panicked as he explained, Grandmaster Zhua, I don't understand what you... It's fine. You don't have to say it. I won't make it hard on you either. Just deliver a message for me, and put that oh-so-great and stuck-up heaven-shaking Dragon Lord on the spot. Zhua Fan brushed his panic off. Lu Yijin's beard shook, his face haunting. Zhua Fan's inscrutable smile unnerved him the more he saw it. Is he faking it or omniscient? This is disturbing. Zhua Fan's laugh came as an answer to his thoughts. Grandmaster Lu, you should know by now of my character. If not by seeing, at least from rumors. I don't need to justify myself when I want to kill someone. I just do it. On the other hand, if I want one alive, regardless of how vile and deceitful that person is, I won't lay a finger on him anyway. I've had my suspicions on you from start. I could have killed you whenever I wanted to, but I think it's safe to say my actions prove there will be no killing for my part. Coming out clean won't make much of a difference either at this point. Who doesn't yearn for glory and power? But didn't I let Kai shouting walk free? Zhua Fan's daunting eyes stared Lu Yijin down. Lu Yijin was in a quandary, but nodded in the end. Grandmaster Zhua is sharp beyond any man. I admit, it was unwanted contrivalung Wu Chang who ordered me to get close to Grandmaster Zhua. I do not know how he knew, but he found out you and I were once acquaintances. So he made me spy on you. I refused at first, but then, fine. The reasons are pretty much typical for any spy. If not out of glory and power, then from a threat. I totally get it. Zhua Fan's nonchalant wave cut him off. Lu Yijin hung his head. Zhua Fan is incredible. He knows everything. It was one thing to say power, glory, or constraint, but how many could escape their clutches? Zhua Fan stared at him. Now that that's out of the way, send a message to Huangpu Qingtian. What message? Lu Yijin was stunned. Zhua Fan's conduct was baffling. He just got a hold on the enemy's spy, and he wasn't going to tear him asunder? And instead, he was taking a step further, leaving the spy alive to send word to the enemy. It was as if they were on the same side. It totally floored the calm alchemist Lu Yijin Ahehiem. Zhua Fan's straight face revealed a haughty air. Grandmaster Lu, when you see Huangpu Qingtian, this is how you'll behave. You'll curse him. Stupid head Huangpu pup, ignorant and trifling clown, yours truly has seen through it all. So tone down the drama and your petty tricks. I've been playing this game from before you were even born. Face twitching, Lu Yijin sweated buckets. He ventured, Grandmaster Zhua, could you perhaps maybe ease on rancor? I won't be able to imitate you. Was this a joke? Zhua Fan was having a blast here, cursing and wailing like he owned the place. But when the guy met Huangpu Qingtian face to face, was he going to stick to the real message? Not if he wanted to come out alive. Ha ha ha. Fine, as you wish. Just make sure he catches my drift. Zhua Fan looked uncaring, but his face turned deadly the next. However, this line you must say it word for word. His hand flashed, and was now holding 4 brimming sacred pill vials. Lu Yijin was slack-jawed. Zhua Fan easily read his shock and smiled coldly. Tell him this. Huangpu Qingtian, you call yourself insidious and brilliant, but not even you would have imagined the last brimming sacred pill was with me all along. And you even laid out the stage to trap me? That's rich. Lu Yijin blinked, counting the vials. It was clear as day there were 4, but the absurdity of it all made him second-guess that he'd been next to Zhua Fan all this time, yet never knew where the guy got all the brimming sacred pills. So he always assumed Zhua Fan only had the 3, yanked from Huangpu Qingtian's very hand too. That there never was a 4th. Is this another pill he robbed? Lu Yijin showed his shock. Grandmaster Zhua, if you already took Huangpu Qingtian's last pill, why make me a messenger? Zhua Fan put a finger on his lips. The last pill wasn't taken, but slipped off of him. He's still oblivious. He knows what I can do, so telling him my message will make him understand. Make sure you get a clear view of his blind rage when he flips out and comes back to me. Blinking, Lu Yijin sighed. They both knew Huangpu Qingtian was gruesome, and yet Zhua Fan swiped his pill without the slightest indication. Unreal. Zhua Fan doesn't look to be lying either. He wants me to shame Huang Pu Qing Tian further with that message. By all accounts, it didn't look fake at all. Zhua Fan actually swiped the oblivious Huang Pu Qing Tian's brimming sacred pill from right under his nose, taking a deep breath. Lu Yizhen's face hardened. Grandmaster Zhua is incredible. There's nothing you can't do. I will pass on Grandmaster Zhua's words, although the wording might not be as taunting. I get it. What matters is the essence. He will surely be pissed when he hears it. Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan chortled. Lu Yizhen took 2 steps away before stopping. Grandmaster Zhua, could you please clarify something for me? Shoo. Since when have you doubted me? Lu Yizhen asked, grinning. Zhua Fan said, from the moment I laid my eyes on you in Beast King Mountain. That fast. Lu Yizhen was stunned. He couldn't for the life of him see what gave him away. Zhua Fan shook his head. 1. I never believe in coincidences. The esoteric debate is held on Beast King Mountain. It just so happened for you to be here looking for herbs? Highly unlikely. You must have got here thanks to Huang Pu Qingtian's storage ring. 2. When I accepted you as a disciple, all you showed was respect and not joy. It was a complete contrast from how you reacted the first time you asked. I had my suspicions right then, and using apprenticeship as an excuse to help Luo clan sealed it. All combined made your purpose in getting close to Luo clan obvious. Lu Yizhen looked long at Zhua Fan in shock. Sigh, I failed as a spy. You saw through me the moment we met. But why didn't you get rid of me then? To figure out Huang Pu Qingtian's plans, of course. Zhua Fan sneered. Each time you used Ascending Jade, I figured it was to leak our numbers, position, and members. This gave me an easy time figuring out what Huang Pu Qingtian was cooking, that he was aiming for those around me. Lu Yizhen's face twitched in shame. He not only failed as a spy, but was an utter disgrace. The info he sent was faulty and went as far as exposing his lord's master plan. Lu Yizhen's face was scorching. Grandmaster Zhua, you truly are cunning. No wonder Lung Wuchang stepped in personally. Lu Yizhen flew away, leaving Zhua Fan in shock. It was his first time hearing it, even considering that the mastermind wasn't Huang Pu Qingtian, but Lung Wuchang. In such a case, I have to hurry up. Zhua Fan flew after Lu Yizhen. In the shadows a day later, a light flew nearby. Zhua Fan caught the Sending Jade, which wrote, the soldiers return, the Dragon King is at peace. Sure enough, the array map is a trap. Grinning, Zhua Fan shot 3 Sending Jades to his 3 allies. He then looked at the one in his hand and praised, perfectly done. He resumed, tailing Lu Yizhen. Letting Kai shouting off wasn't out of the goodness of his heart, or like he put it, out of indifference. But to use them and gauge Huang Pu Qingtian's reaction if Huang Pu Qingtian raged. The 3 exits would be safe. If Huang Pu Qingtian didn't blame the 2, then it all went according to the man's plan, and he needed to change the routes of his 3 allies. This was all made possible thanks to the spy he meticulously placed near Huang Pu Qingtian. Zhua Fan wasn't beneath Lung Wuchang's capacity for treachery when it came to covert ops. While the factions looked subdued at a first glance, the darkness revealed a tangled mess. Chapter 303, Outplayed. Chapter 303, Outplayed. Elite Coder. Whoosh. Huang Pu Qingtian and Lin Xianfeng were leading their men to the Earth exit when they spotted a light trailing the sky. A figure landed with a boom, and Huang Pu Qingtian frowned. Lu Yizhen, what are you doing here? I thought I told you to stick to Zhua Fan. Don't tell me. Bitter, Lu Yizhen bowed. Eldest young master, I was exposed. What? Then how are you still alive? Huang Pu Qingtian's brow pursed, his suspicion raised. A vile and insidious man like Zhua Fan actually let go of not just Kai shouting, but you as well? He just discovered and released 2 spies. What the hell is going on in that mind of his? Sighing, Lu Yizhen's heart went cold. He could tell the 2 held no hopes for his return. They had thrown him away from the start. Who told him to climb aboard? He had no choice now but to go with them. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yizhen bowed. Eldest young master, Zhua Fan sent word for you. Speak. Huang Pu Qingtian's eyes were grave. Lu Yizhen mulled for a bit before. Zhua Fan said your schemes are as clear as day and should not bother yourself with them. That's it? With his temper, that doesn't sound like him. Huangpu Qingtian mocked, bowing again. Lu Yijin continued. Eldest young master is right. But as his true words are crass and rude, unfitting for the eldest young master's ears, I altered their wording. The meaning is the same. Ha ha ha. Are you afraid I'll take my anger out on you? Huangpu Qingtian read him like a book. It's fine anyway. I don't feel like listening either. It's ironic how he thinks himself all-knowing, surrounded as he is by a thick fog he can't even see. The two next to him were clueless, but Huangpu Qingtian's overconfidence deterred any questions. Then Lu Yijin turned nervous, bowing again. Eldest young master, Zhua Fan has one more thing to say. I don't want to hear it. It must be some pointless boasting trying to throw me off my game. Let him sink into his delusions. Huangpu Qingtian brushed him off. Lu Yijin cupped his hands. Eldest young master, Zhua Fan does intend to shame eldest young master, but I have to make this report. Huangpu Qingtian turned grave. Speak. Eldest young master, the fourth brimming sacred pill you are using to entice him has long since been in his hands. He was mocking you, saying how ignorant you were of it all. What? Lin Xianfeng cut in. Impossible. Eldest young master had the fourth pill placed in my care from the start. How can it be with him? Young master Lin, I didn't believe it either, but then he showed me 4 vials. I had never seen them the entire time I was with his group. He also said that you all know what he can do. Lu Yijin trailed off. Huangpu Qingtian squinted, the seed of doubt planted. Lin Xianfeng was panicking. Did he steal it with that weird art of his? Lin Xuanfeng's hand flashed with the brimming sacred pill vial. Lin Xianfeng only then eased a breath. Ha ha ha. The punk is messing with us. We still have it. Huangpu Qingtian was too deep in thought to care. Then his face changed. Fool, don't take it out. Lin Xianfeng froze for a second. Enough time for the vial to vanish. Zhua Fan. Lin Xianfeng stammered, not far off. Zhua Fan's cackle came from among the trees. Ha ha. Thanks a bunch, young master Huangpu. I shall accept your generosity. Lin Xianfeng blinked, still frozen on the spot. Lu Yijin was still out of it from shock. Zhua Fan has been behind me all this time. Huangpu Qingtian held his head and sighed. Morons, the lot of you. This was the plan to draw out Zhua Fan, and he had no idea where I hid the brimming sacred pill. Then you guys just handed it over on a silver platter. What were you expecting? Lin Xuanfeng's eyes widened and threw his rage on Lu Yijin. Traitor, you now collude with Zhua Fan? I'll kill you. Young Master Lin, I'm just a messenger. I don't know anything. Lu Yijin was scared out of his mind. He was under the false impression that Zhua Fan sent him on a mere errand to make Huangpu Qingtian look bad with his message. Who even conceived it possible that there was a scheme involved? The worst part was that he made the old man a scapegoat with the two before him pissed. Since they couldn't grab Zhua Fan, who else were they going to take their anger out on? Not even washing in the underworld river would absolve him. He began as a spy for Huangpu Qingtian's faction, only to end up dying at his hands. He was dubbed a double agent no one would take pity on. Quite fitting for a spy, and ironic he had now witnessed Zhua Fan's capacity for savagery and cruelty. There was no getting out scot-free from him. With the double agent blame smacked on his shoulders, the insidiousness of the ploy finally dawned on him. Huangpu Qingtian signaled Lin Xianfeng. Stop, it's not his fault. He was also used. Eldest young master is brilliant. Lu Yijin bowed and wiped his brow. Huangpu Qingtian gave him no attention and turned to the forest. Since you came, why don't you come over for a talk? Haha, what's there to talk about? But since you insist, I'll meet you. I want to see with my own eyes the scowling and miserable face of a loser. Zhua Fan walked from among the trees with a smile. The rest of the men there paled and tensed. Soaring demonic dragon was just as notorious as Huangpu Qingtian. Your men sure look terrified of me. Zhua Fan mocked. Huangpu Qingtian smiled coldly. Not angered at all. Zhua Fan, there's a saying which fits you perfectly right now. Stop showing off, or you'll be struck down by lightning. I've been doing it since I was born, but no lightning has touched me so far. Though it makes me wonder, what would it feel like? It must be quite the thrill. Zhuo Fan laughed, shaking his head. Huang Pu Qingtian grinned. You will soon find out. Squinting, Zhuo Fan stared into Huang Pu Qingtian's eyes with unease. By the way, Zhuo Fan, the vial you used to fool the old man must be the one you found at some point, but never took it out. So when old Lu saw 4 vials, he jumped to conclusions. He would never dare lie to me otherwise. Huang Pu Qingtian's lips twisted into a smile. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow. Look at you, young Master Huang Pu. You're not as dumb as other muscle brain fools around you. Ha ha ha. I am destined to be king. How can I be a fool? But to be entirely honest, it's not easy to see through it in an instant. I realize the truth because of something that is happening right now. Huang Pu Qingtian snickered. Zhuo Fan, don't you have the 2 keys for the water exit, yet keep them to yourself? Zhuo Fan cried out. How did you don't tell me? Correct. I sent my men to place them on your way when you were with Luo Yunhai's group. I didn't doubt for a second you'll miss them. So when Lu Yizhen reported you not mentioning them when you met up with Chu Qingcheng, it made me realize you were planning on using them when it mattered most. You once said we're both the same, that we won't show our hands so easily. Ha ha ha. A shame I already know of 2 of your cards. Shuddering, Zhuo Fan showed fear for the first time. His mind put 2 and 2 together, and his brow was soaked. Huang Pu Qingtian's heart burst with joy at his expense. Sir Long said the pinnacle of the art of war is to make the most of a situation. Not just get the enemy to fall for your traps, but to control their every move, to guide them where you want it. Zhuo Fan, from the moment you met with Luo Yunhai, your actions, your objectives, have all gone according to my plan, including those fights we had. Although your fancy art gives me headaches, letting you win every time was all part of my plan. Also, you would become the de facto leader of the alliance. It was the best way to ensure you will follow the road to hell I painstakingly paved for you. What? Don't tell me you haven't wondered how smooth your journey has been so far. You really think highly of yourself, able to face thousands of men and save everyone from the jaws of death. Humph, you lost, all because of your arrogance. Case in point, the Killing Blood Marsh skirmish. Did you ever think about why I didn't unleash all my power? You thought I was too cocky, thinking I had you all like fish in a barrel, so I was going to take pleasure in toying with you? Ha ha ha. I threw the match. Zhuo Fan shivered, recoiling 3 steps, then shooting into the air after the 3 teams. I have completely lost. Zhuo Fan shouted in his mind. Never had he been so out of control as he was now. Huang Pu Qingtian sighed, was having a blast however. Cackling arrogantly, Zhuo Fan was finally beaten back. Chapter 304, Deeper into the Mud. Chapter 304, Deeper into the Mud. Elite Coder. Lin Xuanfeng's eyes trailed Zhuo Fan as he vanished in the distance. This is the first time I have seen that punk so out of it. What on earth happened? Ha ha ha. Nothing much, just him sending his own friends to an early grave. Huang Pu Qingtian had a vague smile. He then turned to pat Lu Yizhen's shoulder. Old Lu, well done. Just as I expected. Eldest young master, I don't deserve it. I've been found out since the start, ugh. He didn't finish as Huang Pu Qingtian squeezed his throat with a thin smile. No, old Lu, you don't have to be modest. You did great. Huang Pu Qingtian smiled, but his hand only clutched harder. The smile looked downright sinister at this point, instilling dread in the puzzled old man. How had he erred? Why had Huang Pu Qingtian stopped Lin Xianfeng from killing him, yet was now doing it himself? Eyes bulging, Lu Yizhen could only let out hoarse sounds. Lu Yizhen was just as perplexed as the victim. Eldest young master, what? Ha ha ha. I stopped you only because Zhuo Fan was nearby. I didn't want to put on a show for him. But now, this old geezer has outlived his purpose. It wouldn't do if he fell into Dugu Zhantian's hands. Killing him here will spare me the trouble. Huang Pu Qingtian's eyes glinted and the vile snicker on his face grew. He put just a touch more force in his grip, and the body shuddered for a moment. Then Lu Yizhen's limbs went limp, flinging the corpse away. Huang Pu Qingtian clapped. Lin Xianfeng gasped, his mind overwhelmed. Huang Pu Qingtian is a beast to dispose of those he no longer has use of. He has not a shred of conscience. Will I end up the same? Huangpu Qingtian knew this was coming, so he patted his shoulder, making him shiver. Worry not. Even if a cripple, you're the next in line to lead Merrywoods. You're so much more valuable. As long as you are by my side, I will do you no harm. Lu Xuanfeng's face twitched. He gave a hollow laugh while wiping his brow. Looking at Lu Yizhen's body again, he sighed inside. Who is to say it won't change? But then Lu Xianfeng brightened. Eldest young master, since you could bring Lu Yizhen, why didn't you do the same for the elders of our houses? Finishing off Shuafan then would have been so much easier. Fool, you take Dugu Zhantian in charge of Dragon Cloud City's defenses for a prop. Huangpu Qingtian snorted. I only managed to bring him after treating him like a spirit animal, placing him in my storage ring. It is because of his insignificance that he went unnoticed. If it were an elder from the 7 houses instead, it would send an alarm to Dugu Zhantian and get us observed. If not for our low numbers keeping it under wraps, our plan would have fallen through. Lin Xianfeng bobbed his head, accepting the tongue lashing while not forgetting to polish Huangpu Qingtian's rear with endless flattery. Huangpu Qingtian waved him off. We're setting out for the Earth exit at once. Is there a point going there now that Shuafan knows our plan? Lin Xianfeng was bewildered. Huangpu Qingtian's snide reply came. Idiot, we're going so that he'd walk right into our ambush. All the traps are in place. Despite knowing that, he has no way to foil them. Not when he had a hand in making it possible. That heart-rending regret, the gnawing guilt, must be quite the torment, ha ha ha. Huangpu Qingtian cackled evilly. Lin Xianfeng still didn't get it, but did as was told in another place. Xie Tianshang's team had been heading for the metal exit for 3 days now when a sudden light flew over. Xie Tianshang caught it, known to be Zhuafan's sending jade that said, now you can look at the jade slip. Xie Tianshang was quite puzzled. Wasn't I supposed to do that after 5 days? Why so early? But since Zhuafan said so, he of course obliged. 5 simple words entered his eyes. Head for the water exit. Ugh. Xie Tianshang was floored. What does that mean? Change course on the spot? Why? Is the metal exit dangerous? Xie Tianshang shouted without delay. Hold. We're changing directions. Follow me. Xie Tianyang pulled Xuan Ningxiang to the front among the baffled stares. Brother, what's up? We've been running for 3 goddamn days, and you suddenly want to change course? Is it an enemy attack? No. Xie Tianshang shook his head, giving him the jade slip. This is the jade slip Shuafan gave me before we split, saying to inspect it 5 days later. But I just received word from him to look at it now. And it said, Xie Tianyang looked at the jade. Head to the water exit? What the hell? I don't know either. But since Shuafan said so, he must have his reasons. Xie Tianshang's eyes were firm. Xie Tianyang shook his head. Brother, since when did you become a fan? What if he's wrong? How many times was he wrong in the past days he was with us? We hardly ever suffered any setbacks as well. While in a situation I cannot fathom, listening to his judgment is a sound decision. Xie Tianshang's mind was set. Xuan Ningxiang spoke first before Xie Tianyang could. Brother Tianyang, has Big Brother Zhua ever been wrong? Listen to him. Don't you recall the All-Beast Mountain Range? Didn't he fall for you geekies ploys time and time again? But with no you geeky around, Big Brother Zhua is the strongest, right? Xuan Ningxiang was zealously defending Zhuafan's honor. Xie Tianyang's mouth twitched, feeling his heartache. And since he could do nothing to Ning he could only compromise, and so, led by Xie Tianshang, the Sword Marquis abode team turned towards the water exit. Chu Qingsheng and Long Xingyun's team received Zhuafan's message as well and were heading in the same direction. None knew, however, of the 10,000-strong army waiting for them. They're led by Yin Bongi and Yu Yushan on top of a majestic mountain. Yu Yushan looked on in the distance, but didn't spot anyone. He took out his jade slip and sighed. OL Poisoner, what's your take on eldest young master's action? Giving us a jade slip to open a day later, only to have our course change to the water exit and set an ambush here. Why didn't he say so from the start? Why make us waste so much time, first go to the fire and metal exits? He was afraid of having the info leaked. Yin Bongi's grim face shuddered in fear. Yu Yushan raised an eyebrow. Does that mean there's a spy among us? Ha ha ha, you crack me up. Any spies will be on their side. Is there any lesser clan out there willing to offend Regent by becoming a spy? Not to mention the dozens of vassals on their side, willing to lean on the Regent estate, giving us their movements of their own accord. Be that as it may, it never hurts to be on the safe side, especially at such a crucial moment in our plan. Yin Bongi muttered, as this is Sir Lung's ploy, we only need to follow it. Yu Yushan nodded. As well, the two saw Lung Wuchang's mind infallible, his plans perfect. All they had to do was just do what he said. Senior brother, young master Yu. The third great array below is set. Yin Fu bowed in respect before the two, nodding. Yin Bongi waved him off. Junior brother, you worked hard. Withdraw. Thank you. Yin Fu bowed and left. Yu Yushan mocked the retreating figure. The kid has been quite meek as of late. Not even a hint of dissatisfaction on his face, either. Well, he is a rare genius alchemist pill King Hall raised after all. Ha ha! Ever since Zhua Fan killed Vicious Pill King, he lost all support. He must have finally accepted his fate to turn so quiet. Those two only ever looked at others from their high horse. Even you. Yu Yushan raised an eyebrow. They traded a glance, then jeer the mockery from above slammed into Yin Fu's ears. His fists clenched, and his eyes glinted with savagery. One day you'll get what you deserve, and I'll be there to watch you die. In the meantime, Zhua Fan was rushing towards the water exit. With no time to notify the teams, he could only hope he'd make it in time to rescue them. His mind kept drifting to the worst-case scenarios, making him clench his jaw and plagued him with worry. He told them to go for the water exit and was sure they would follow it. This was what made it ever worse, riddled with guilt, and yet in complete awe of the mastermind behind it all, to be seen through so thoroughly that even implicated his allies in this trap. He felt toyed, like how a cat did to a mouse. The mastermind was no ordinary man to make even the great Zhua Fan fall for his schemes. This man's schemes were on a whole another level from Yugiki's unwanted contriver, Lung Wuchang. Zhua Fan gnashed his teeth in rage. He had already guessed the true architect behind all this framing. It was not that arrogant prick, Huangpu Qingtian, but Regent Estate's steward, the second greatest mind of the Tianyu Empire, Lung Wuchang. Revenge was out of his sight for now. All he could do was to try everything in pulling through this desperate situation. Then, Zhua Fan sensed a bone-chilling air as he passed. Looking below, he found a clear pond releasing cold air from its center. A 1,000-year-old frigid pond. Eyes squinting, Zhua Fan dived. Chapter 305, Ambush. Chapter 305, Ambush. Elite Coder. Before the water, National Elemental Stone, on Dragon Cloud City's side, everyone had gathered close to observe the show as it unfolded. Since 3 days ago, the audience saw Yin Bongi and Yu Yushan leading 10,000 men over. Some speculated that the two had found the keys to the water exit and were about to return in time. It became clear that they had no such intention. Instead of getting closer, they were setting up an array nearby. Clearly an ambush, yet for 3 days, all was quiet. The audience was observing, unnerved, especially Grandmother and Long Yifei's group. All the preparations were clearly meant for Chu Qingsheng and company. But were they going to fall for it that easily? Noon knew what was happening on Beast King Mountain, adding to their worries, their frowns never leaving their faces. They prayed with all their heart for their successors to not fall for it. Regent Estate side was smiling. Estate Lord, eldest young master, has entered the final phase of the plan. Lung Wuchang stroked his beard. His eyes shined, and his mouth perked up in a proud smile. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. Sir Lung's mind is brilliant. I have no doubt you can purge that evil this time. As long as Sir Lung intervenes, not even that demon can escape. You're too kind, Estate Lord. I may have presented eldest young master with a plan, but it was his remarkable wits that led it to fruition. I do not dare take all the credit. Lung Wuchang faked modesty with an odd smile. Huangpu Tianyuan said, No, Sir Lung. This is all thanks to you. If it were you leading the operation, it would have been finished much sooner. Lung Wuchang looked at him deeply and nodded. He knew of Huangpu Tianyuan's dissatisfaction for his son, scared the young master earned enough merit to depose him. So he'd rather let Lung Wuchang take all the credit, all to undermine Huangpu Qingtian's achievements, such as the Regent estate, where father and son are fighting tooth and nail in pursuit of power. Lung Wuchang shook his head as he mocked them. Sir Lung, are you sure 10,000 men are enough to deal with Zhuo Fan? A smiling voice drifted over. Lung Wuchang turned to see Zhuge Changfeng flanked by his elders coming over with a crafty smile, eyes flashing. Lung Wuchang shook his head. My meager skill is only good for entertainment. I wouldn't dare boast before the great Prime Minister. As for this ambush, it isn't to deal with Zhuo Fan. Oh, Zhuge Changfeng raised an eyebrow, but then he said after a moment of pondering, first deal with the horse, then the rider, right? Prime Minister Zhuge is truly wise. Lung Wuchang nodded. You know the saying, those whom God wishes to destroy, he first makes them mad. Zhuo Fan is not only powerful, he has many odd tricks up his sleeve. And let's not forget his devious mind and penchant for schemes. If we do not rob him of his reason, not even a foolproof plan conceived by us two together would work. By the sound of it, Sir Lung has already found his weakness, where you wouldn't be so open with your designs. Raising his eyebrows, Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Who is it then? Luo Yanhai or? Lung Wuchang shook his head, his wording vague. Prime Minister Zhuge, you will know soon enough. I believe not even Sir would conceive it possible who his fatal weakness was. Zhuge Changfeng's reply. Ha ha ha, Sir Lung, you're even holding me in suspense. Very well, I'll just have to see for myself then, how that demon loses his mind. Lung Wuchang smiled back at the water national elemental stone. At this time, a group appeared on the big screen. Grandmother and Long Yifi froze at the sight of them. Their hearts tensed and cold sweat filled their fists. They wished nothing more than to shout at them, to warn them of their demise. A darn shame the teleportation array was one way only. Their warnings would fall on deaf ears while Lung Wuchang and Huangpu Tianyuan showed a snicker. They're finally here. Two teams were clearly distinguished. Sword Marquis abodes and Veiled Dragon pavilions. They were far quicker than Chu Qingsheng and even met along the way. Just what was Zhuo Fan thinking when sending us here? We're clearly wasting time wandering all over the place. Xie Tianyang was holding a leaf in his mouth. Brushing away a bush while complaining of boredom, Long Xingyun laughed. Second young Master Xie. Ever heard of the lies in truth, and truth and lies used in the art of war? To deceive one's enemy, you must deceive your allies. Those three exits were nothing more than a lure for the enemy, while we changed our course midway towards our real purpose. Yeah, Brother Tianyang, you need to learn from Big Brother Zhuo. Even he knows more than you about what's going on. Xuanning Xiang jumped in, pointing at Long Xingyun while calling out Xie Tianyang's flaws. Xie Tianyang sneered in silence, while his heart bled from anger. You're saying as if Zhuo Fan's every word is the unblemished truth. Long Xingyun nodded first, then his face twitched. The last sure has a mouth on her. What do you mean by even he knows? Are you saying I'm usually an ignorant Philistine? Do I look that stupid to you? Then a cry broke their ceaseless argument. Long Kuei shouted as she pointed at the shining water crystal. There's the water exit. The map is real. The others perked up, thrilled at the prospect, and rushed over. Ha ha ha. The water exit is here. Brother Zhuo was right all along. Long Xingyun laughed, running as well. Xie Tianyang mocked though. Why are you so chipper? We don't have the key, do we? Dunce, since brothers were told us to come here in particular, he must have gotten the keys without even us realizing it. Long Xingyun was over the moon. So much so he forgot who just spoke and cursed back. Xie Tianyang was annoyed, but didn't let it show. Xuanning Xiang, the picture of ignorance, fan the flames. Yeah, dunce. Do you have rock for brains? You think Big Brother Zhuo would have us come here on a whim? The speaker was clueless to the damage, while the listener found the words intentional. Despite him, Xie Tianyang's flames of rage burnt hotter than lava. His fists clenched, his teeth grinded. Why does everyone look up to Fan and always take me down a peg? He didn't much care about the rest, but even Ninger, the one he cared the most about, did it. He just couldn't accept that a seed of hatred was planted in his heart towards his brother, who he went though life and death. Once it changed, no one there noticed. Before the Water National Elemental Stone, Grandmother's group was so keyed up, their hearts practically flatlined as they prayed. Don't come any closer. It's a trap. The utter powerlessness they felt watching their clansmen walk into the jaws of death was so strong, she felt like her heart was being stabbed over and over, one step at a time. Lung Wuchang and Huang Putianyuan watched them getting closer, and the grins turned sinister. It soon turned into joy at the expectancy for bloodshed that followed upon noticing a dainty figure among them all around the water exit. Yin Bongi and Yu Yushan's forces laid in wait. Once the two noticed the carefree figure among their prey, they signaled, "Our target's here. Attack!" They both shouted in unison then. A glow started rising from beneath everyone's feet. 36 light pylons shot for the skies, trapping them all at the same time. Each of the pylon beams was shown to be housing a person. As the scenery began changing, the water exit vanished, soon replaced by bloody skies and blood-tainted air. They seemed to have found themselves in another world. Not Beast King Mountain of Tanyu Empire. It was such an odd place, they may not even be in the Martial Emperor continent. A 36-man array. Long Xingyun cried, "Damn it, we've been trapped." It was clear as day to all. This was not an array controlled by a single man, but by 36 people. Such a meticulous array needed ample time to be set in motion. In other words, this was a well-thought-out ambush. So much so, it began well before they even rushed here. But how? Fan told them to come here. Why would he lead them into a trap? None could accept what was before them and chose to deny reality. But the fact were laid bare for everyone. Fan had sent them to hell, give them no quarter. A shout unleashed a flood of 10,000 men coming at them from all directions. They were so panicked they couldn't tell where the enemy was coming from, thinking of nothing else than of escape, but trapped as they were, with all sides painted red, they had no way to distinguish the exit. Add to that the constant roars of the enemy, the fear gnawed at any semblance of reason they had left, waiting to be called. Chapter 306, Deadly Miasma. Chapter 306, Deadly Miasma. Elite Coder. What do we do, brother? The frightened Long Kuei turned to Long Xingyun. Long Xingyun wasn't faring any better, his eyes darting everywhere. Noticing the 36 pylons, his face grew grave. If we want to survive, we have to first get out of the array. The 36 lights are tied together, making it impossible to break the array from the inside. We need to find the exit if we want to escape. Long Kuei and the rest were even more restless. Looking at the flood of enemies charging, their faces were ashen. How were they supposed to do that when that army would make sure to keep them trapped here, even tighter than the array? The array's only use was to rob them of their chance to escape. It made even profound heaven experts flying impossible, to the extent that even 6 dragons and 1 phoenix were incapable of doing it. Everyone hung their heads in despair. Having lost their will to fight, humph, it's just finding an exit. Is that so hard? We'll just have to try them one by one. A snort came just as a black figure flashed into the enemy's ranks. Golden light blossomed as it flew in every direction. Wherever it landed, explosions resounded, paving the ground with hundreds of corpses. The blood flew into the air, only to fall right back down. Onto the scattered limbs, they saw how the twisted smiles of the enemy had now turned into ones of horror at the sight of this man, Sor Marquise, Abode's eldest young master, martial fanatic Xie Tianshang. Xie Tianshang rested his sword, but his cold eyes glinted like daggers. Any that met his gaze would feel as if stabbed by 1,000 swords. His dauntless figure stood unchallenged like an unparalleled sword. The enemy was deterred, in fear of what might happen if they got even an inch closer. Long Xingyun blinked, then turned ecstatic. Brother Ciel lives up to be a true martial fanatic. How dependable. But of course, My brother has been obsessed with martial arts since young, training day in day out without a rest. If not for those two monsters, my brother would have been invincible. Xie Tianyang spoke with pride. Everyone else sighed inside. Xie Tianshang is the #1 swordsman in Tianyu. Not even 6 dragons and 1 phoenix can match his talent. Just that heaven-shaking dragon Lord upstaged him, followed closely by that bad apple Zhuo Fan, sealing any chance at showcasing his might. With those two out of the picture, the world would finally bear witness to the true might of this martial fanatic. Rolling his eyes, Long Xingyun roared, "Brother Xie, clear a path. We're right behind you." Grinning, Xie Tianyang said, "Brother Long is so shrewd in bringing up the rear. When my brother pushes through the array and is too exhausted to carry on, you could just run off." "Ha ha ha, Brother Tianyang, no need to split hairs. We are allies here. You help me now, and I'll help you later. We will both benefit." Long Xingyun pointed at Xie Tianshang. "Moreover, don't you find your brother quite willing to be made use of?" Sure enough, Xie Tianshang's eyes lit up at this proposal, as if he was just waiting for it. All right. Every swing of the sword sent golden light everywhere. Flowing Space's 9 forms were performed to the full extent of their splendor, at the expense of crushed enemies and strewn corpses. It only took seconds for the casualties to reach 1,000 as the surroundings glowed bloody. Now, so too did the earth. Xie Tianyang shook his head as his brother was hell-bent on mowing through the enemy like they were training dummies. Sigh, the martial fanatic side of my brother is once again rearing its head. Nothing short of exhaustion or defeat could ever stop his blade now. The others found sword marquees abodes, eldest young masters bursting courage contagious. It reached a point where some even wanted to join the man in his charge, but taking a closer look, one saw a bloodshot Xie Tianshang, slaughtering every which way with a manic grin on his face. That threw a bucket of cold water on their enthusiasm. "He'll kill us just the same." Long Xingyun rubbed his chin, nodding at the crazed figure. He guessed there was no pressure in finding the exit. At least with Xie Tianshang on a killing spree, the enemy would swiftly be disposed of. At the very least, San Zhuofan and Huangpu Qingtan, Xie Tianshang had become the de facto god of war, killing gods, demons, Buddha, and whatnot. Xie Tianshang, don't be so smug. Face me for change. A shout revealed a black figure charging Xie Tianshang. Xie Tianshang was overjoyed. "Ha ha ha. Yin Bongi, you're just in time. I grow tired of killing ants. Now I can finally hone my sword on you." Xie Tianshang pointed the sword at the sky. The sword energy burst with incredible might and sharpness. Yin Bongi squinted and leaned out of the way. The sword energy grazed his shoulder, peeling his flesh and making him clench his teeth from pain. The sword energy shot for the skies, where it exploded and rattled the 36 pylons. The men inside even had to spit blood. It dawned on everyone how mighty Xie Tianshang's sword truly was. Of the danger he represented, Yin Bongi couldn't afford to dodge again, forced to face Xie Tianshang head-on. A green miasma drifted from his hand as he made a palm attack for Xie Tianshang's face. Xie Tianshang turned serious and dodged in a rush. The miasma struck the earth with a bang, catching others in its path unprepared. It bored into them, eliciting a wail of agony, all while blood flowed like rivers from their twisted visage in mere seconds. All that remained were foul and reeking puddles of blood, good only to make one's stomach turn. Xuan Ningxiang hunkered behind Xie Tianyang as horror set in. The rest weren't faring any better. Shocked at Yin Bongi's capacity for cruelty, Xie Tianshang squinted, his face stony, but not a trace of fear. Xie Tianshang's sword danced in his hand as he unleashed the 9 forms. Yin Bongi dodged in panic. Not for a second was he going to take the brunt of such deadly force. They hammered the array, and the 36 men in the light pylons heaved blood for a total of 9 times. Even the bloody sky dulled. The array was about to break. Yin Bongi was soaked in sweat, his heart a mess. If this kept up, he wouldn't even win, least of all kill the enemy they had worked painstakingly in removing Zhuo Fan from the mix, only to meet another freak. Xie Tianshang, it was common knowledge that the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, Huangpu Qingtian excluded, were on the same level, more or less. But this guy, Yin Bongyi's face sank. If this operation fails, the plan to end Zhuo Fan will fall through. Huangpu Qingtian wasn't going to take his failure lightly. That was for sure. Yin Bongyi gnashed his teeth and released a 7-colored miasma, the signature move of Pill King Hall, Rainbow Cloud Palm. The miasma spread, swallowing enemy and friends alike, leaving behind naught but a bloody cesspool of festering pus in the hands of Yin Bongyi. With his poisonous body, the Rainbow Cloud Palm was even more devastating. It was not without its demerits either. As the poison grew in strength, so too did his agony. Rainbow Cloud Palm was a double-edged sword. Each time it was used, it gnawed at the user's body. And because it was him using it, the poison traveled through him far faster than any of his clansmen. Yin Bongyi's face visibly darkened, with thick green blood dripping from his mouth. The wound on his shoulder festered as well, looking to turn him into a blood puddle, but he bore it. His hands still releasing that devastating miasma. He had to complete Huangpu Qingtian's mission, or he'd be dead either way. Xie Tianshang stared at the source of the miasma. He flicked his sword a few times, but the thick miasma swallowed them all like nothing. Xie Tianshang jumped back in the face of the spreading disease. Next to Long Xingyun, they watched as hundreds of their enemies died a gruesome death, tormented amidst the drifting pestilence. How vicious! Not even his allies are spared. Xie Tianyang gnashed his teeth. Long Xingyun's face grew hard. We have no antidote for Pill King Hall's Rainbow Cloud Palm. He is invincible. Numbers are useless when facing him. Once Rainbow Cloud Palm is in play, his dominance is assured. More so now in this array. It's just a matter of time before his poison kills us all. Isn't there anything we can do? Xie Tianshang trembled. Long Xingyun's eyes glinted. Of course there is. Break the array and the poison will scatter. Easy for you to say. I struck it 10 times, but it is still holding strong. I need more time. Time we do not have. Xie Tianshang sighed at the dull, bloody sky. The others gnashed their teeth as well, drawing back just as the miasma crept nearer. Chapter 307, Breaking the Array. Chapter 307, Breaking the Array. The 36 pylons created a sealed space, trapping everyone within its borders and preventing any outsider from looking into it. Not even the audience watching the Water National Elemental Stone could pierce the veil. All they saw were the beams of light, mounting their unrest. Region Estate side was the calmest of the bunch, going by their broad and sinister smiles within the bushes just ahead of the pylons. Chu Qingqing's team, a late arrival, was looking at the scene in bewilderment. They couldn't make heads or tails of this recent change. Why did Zhuo Fan have them come here? A third great array? Chu Qingqing squinted. Luo Yinhai nodded. It also comes with a hidden army. For the ambush to succeed, the easiest would be an array with multiple controllers. Being slow on our way here had worked in our favor. For the trap to be sprung already, someone must have fallen for it. What? Are you saying Zhuo Fan had us walk into a trap? Chu Qingqing cried in disbelief. Luo Yinhai nodded. Although Brothers' every scheme has come to fruition and is unlikely to make such a mistake, our pressing matter at this point is to break the array. Chu Qingqing nodded after a pause, then shouted, "Men on me. We will break the array core and get them out." Understood. The men cupped their hands and charged alongside. Her grandmother's side was extremely worried. But Chu Qingqing's sudden arrival promised hope. At least the other two teams wouldn't suffer total defeat. Boom. Chu Qingqing struck the glowing pylons several times until it was shuddering and flickering. But when there were 36 of them, each lending support, stabilizing the weaker link, as such, Chu Qingqing's powerful yuan qi spread evenly among them. They were shaken, but far from breaking the rest, assaulted the other beams. However pointless it was, grandmother's side was by themselves with worry. They were in a race against time. The longer they took, the heavier the casualties to the ones trapped inside in the trap. Long Xingyun and company were driven into a corner by the encroaching plague. When they ran out of places to retreat, some random subordinates were even pushed in front to make space. You are our vassals. Sacrificing yourself for your lord is downright honorable of you. They understood this logic as well and stepped forward without their master's urging. They braved the impending miasma, only to end up a festering pool of blood. Xuan Ningxiang was wrecked with sadness, tears streaming down. Aren't we all humans? Why must they sacrifice themselves? Therein laid the cruelty. If not them, who? The 7 houses? No matter how willing Long Xingyun and the rest were, which they weren't, the vassals would never accept it either. It was easy to guess why. If they escaped this hell by the grace of their master's sacrifice, what future would their clans have? Extermination. So while this act looked quite virtuous and dauntless on the surface, at its core it all came down to saving their bloodlines. And who knew if their masters in their infinite mercy would perhaps look kindly upon their clans? The stream of sacrifices was endless, but the miasma forced them into a corner. With no way out, Long Xingyun turned glum. He turned to the dozens scattered men with a heavy heart. Any further sacrifices are pointless. It will hardly give us more room. Will we find our end here? His words made others lower their heads in grief. The earth, soaked in blood, only added to their sadness. Thousands of people came here, only to end up with barely enough to count on 2 hands. They couldn't deny their fate, certain to end up another bloody smear on the ground, joining the others. Oh, the tragedy! Boom! The sky shook at the sudden sound, and the bloody images around them dimmed some more. In Long Xingyun's eyes a faint hope blossomed. Someone is attacking the array. Yes, but what good will it do? By the time the array is broken, we won't even have bones left. Xie Tianshang looked at the sky, somber and dejected. His words cut at the others' expectation, at their hope. Long Xingyun waved him off. Don't say that. They might succeed. Long Xingyun patted the shoulder of the man next to him. Brother, what clan are you? For how long have you served the Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Chun clan from Tenebrous City. 150 years ago, we swore fealty to the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. His sunken face revealed he understood Long Xingyun's meaning. He bowed. I wish the eldest young master would look after my clan. You have followed my house for so long, and today's sacrifice won't be in vain. I, Long Xingyun, will never forget your devotion. Long Xingyun nodded gravely. The man's jaw was set, his eyes firm, and he charged at the miasma. Yet he barely touched it, and the poison was already gnawing at his flesh. Everyone watched as his blood soaked the ground in a matter of seconds. Xuan Ningxiang wailed, burying her head in Xie Tianyang's shoulder. Xie Tianyang sighed and patted her hand in consolation. It came as no surprise to him. Not how often he saw the 7 houses abuse their privilege. Long Xingyun stood cheerful in the freshly emptied spot. His calm face begged the question. Did he even bother to remember the man's clan's name? Well, since someone was bashing the array, hope slipped into his heart. A second ago, he wasn't intent on making more senseless sacrifices, not when they were doomed to die together. But now, even if he were to die, he'd make damn sure he was going to be last. What if he lived? Chu Qingcheng and her men had struck the pylons of light dozens of times now, without any result. Each failure mounting their worry. Grandmother was sweating as well, while Xie Xiaofeng and Long Yaifi, fearful of their son's fate, were devastated. No one there was more disturbed than them. Duge Zhantian stood straight like a blade among them, eyes fixed on the image in silent worry. Duge Lin muttered, Marshal, this 36 heavenly stars array. Stop. Yanhai should know a way. Duge Zhantian waved his hand, his eyes confident. The tigers nodded, watching the young man in the national elemental stone. With a smile, Luo Yunhai scrutinized the array and said, Edifice Lord Chu, the 36 heavenly stars array is laid in accordance with the 36 stars of the Big Dipper. If one holds, they all do. If one crumbles, they all collapse. Only by attacking the life gate will we tear the death gate open and break the array. You have a way? Chu Qingcheng asked. Luo Yunhai nodded. This array is commonly used in the army. I've followed the Godfather for 2 years to learn about this array and ask Edifice Lord Chu to lend me all authority. Done. Chu Qingqing agreed on the spot. Luo Yunhai turned solemn and shouted, "Listen, all of you. Dong Tianba, take 300 men and attack the Life Gate in the center west. Xiao Dandan, take 300 men and attack the second Death Gate in the east. The rest will be with me in attacking the Seal Gate." The men set off at once like dragons. The 3 teams started raining havoc on the 36 pylons of light. When Dong Tianba attacked the light pylons at the Life Gate, he sent a ripple to the other beams. Then Xiao Dandan and Luo Yunhai's teams attacked their own targets, and things changed. The other 2 ripples prevented the first from spreading to the other pylons. The 3 ripples converged onto a single pylon, stopping it from letting the others share the load. Soon, the man inside the pylon cried out, and, as the pylon vanished, the man blew to pieces. The 36 light pylons had lost their balance, and they could no longer support each other. Dugu Zhantian laughed. Nice. The kid didn't waste the 2 years he was next to me. The 4 tigers of Tianyu nodded in pride. They were the ones who brought up this younger brother with them, and seeing him make a name for himself in the esoteric debate filled them with glee and pride. Grandmother's side nodded, glad as well. Who'd have thought the Luo clan didn't just have creepy Zhua fan worthy of notice, but the young clan head as well? Surely not them. What surprised them the most were Zhua Fan's decisions. They all knew who brought Luo Yunhai into the limelight, Zhua Fan. With Zhua Fan always taking the lead in schemes and battles, the third-rate clan's kid would hardly show his face, would hardly prove his worth of being under Dugu Zhantian's care. Chu Qingsheng was glad inside. Happy this array that had many of them vexed over popped open with a little effort from Luo Yunhai. Luo Yunhai didn't let this minor success cloud his judgment. The viewing gate is open. Attack the pain gate. Understood. The men responded, filled with zeal. Regent Estate's side turned glum, with only Lung Wuchang ever sporting that faint mystifying smile. Ha ha, it's of no consequence. Chapter 308. The real target is her. Chapter 308. The real target is her. Boom. Boom sounded everywhere as Luo Yunhai commanded his 3 teams left and right. The 36 pylons of light were reduced to 26 in a matter of seconds. The others were stunned, cheering for the Luo clan. Their young master had grown up at last. He will make a fine clan head. When half of the pylons crumbled, the array formation was constantly shuddering from the strain. 18 pylons were hardly enough to sustain such a large array. Luo Yunhai shouted, "Fall back." They all rushed away, but some were too slow in their retreat, and the exploding array engulfed them. Boom. The force of the blast smashed into the surroundings, while the unfortunate few who got caught in it were sent everywhere in pieces. Robbed of life before they could utter even a whimper, the lucky survivors saw before them a foul, thick mist. They drew a breath, rejoiced having come out unscathed, only to be swallowed whole by the towering miasma. They wailed and cried, even as their flesh dissolved into blood and pus. Soaking the mud, Chu Qingsheng cried, "Watch out! It's Pil King Hall's rainbow cloud palm." A layer of ice appeared on her body as she spoke. She gathered her palms and erected a cold barrier. The miasma touched the barrier and let out hissing sounds, eating through it in moments. Chu Qingsheng was shocked. Not even vicious Pil King's poison was that toxic. The saying that no one could defend against Yin Bongi's rainbow cloud palm, who had a poison body, wasn't unfounded. Gnashing her teeth, Chu Qingqing's only option was to retreat. Made painfully aware by the increasing number of victims the miasma swallowed and dissolved. Ha. Edifice Lord Chu, you're just in time. I'll never forget this life debt. Following the unbridled laughter, people trapped inside noticed Chu Qingsheng, Long Xingyun, and Xie Tianshang's teams were free now, just that they were reduced to less than 10 people. The core of the 2 houses was safe, while the vassals had gone to the underworld. Technically, there was one vassal who had pulled through, the Shui clan siblings, thanks in no small part to Xie Tianyang and Zhua Fan's fame. Or who knew when in this ordeal they'd be used as honorable sacrifices? Luck was with them at least, with the array giving way just as the miasma was about to devour them. They flew away the instant they could, joining up with Chu Qingcheng Long Yaifi, and Xie Xiaofeng saw their sons safe and sound and eased a breath they didn't know they held. But looking at the sky covered in poison, then at the bloody mud below their feet, the gruesome hellscape left them soaked. The esoteric debate of this century was far more malicious. Perhaps the fact that the seven houses were officially at war had something to do with it. For appearance's sake, the seven houses abstained from a full-out war, letting their vassals be their proxy. But now, the vassals weren't the only ones turned into rivers of blood. The seven houses were tearing into each other just as savagely. It was easy to imagine what would have happened if Chu Qingcheng was even a moment slower in a rescue. The Sword Marquis's abode and Veiled Dragon Pavilion's bloodlines would have been cut short at the hands of Yin Bongi. The house lords of the two victimized houses sobbed inside. They prayed that the two could come out alive from the most cruel and savage battle that had ever happened over the past millennium. Hall Lord Yin Boigong's face bloomed with the most genial smile conceivable. He even made obvious signs to his allies, as if to say, "See that? That's the true power of our top art. Rainbow cloud palm. With one hand, the world's my oyster. No one would dare come closer." Everyone gave him a cursed look. Their disdain for this petty man's flair for the dramatic was evident. One had to admit, though, Rainbow Cloud Palm turned Yin Bongi into a killing machine in case of anyone else using it. Willpower was capable of pushing the enemy through adversity and come out alive. But replace the user with Yin Bongi, and they would dissolve into a bloody stain on the ground before they could even reach him. This was the horror. Yin Bongi of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. The plague dragon, brought to life. Only Regent Estate was shaking their heads, clearly unimpressed by the Rainbow Cloud Palm. On the other side, Chu Qingcheng's team was pushed back further and further away from the spreading miasma. It ate through trees and even the toughest rocks, with the first turned to dust and the second into an acrid liquid. The few cultivators too slow to keep up were swallowed by the toxic fumes. With only screams as an indication of what awaited on the other side, Chu Qingcheng's brow was set in a heavy scowl. "We have to stop him, or all our men will die." Long Xingyan nodded. "True. Every great clan and house in Tianyu is watching us from beyond the water exit. It would be a stain on our honor to allow Yin Bongi, a single man, push us 3 back. I have a way, but we need to combine our power. The risk may be high, but are you willing?" Chu Qingcheng and Xie Tianshang traded looks, then nodded. "Speak." The two's eyes lit up and nodded while a grinning Long Xingyan whispered in their ears. The 3 stopped shirking away from the pestilence and charged instead, giving others quite the shock. Are they suicidal? Not even 6 dragons and 1 phoenix are exempt from dying from that poison. But what happened next was the true shocker. Xie Tianshang took the lead, then slashed. A bright golden and unbridled energy cut into the miasma. The poison was forced to scatter, revealing a clear path ahead. The 3 followed the path. Just as the miasma was coming back with a vengeance and trapping the trio, Chu Qingcheng's prompt response was in the form of a flash of cold. Her hands moved, raising an ice wall around them and keeping them safe from the miasma, but the constant hissing bore testament to the poison's power and the short life of the ice wall. Then again, it was enough to buy them an instant, and that was all they needed. Long Xingyan finally released the attack he had built up all this time in his palm. A dragon image pierced forth, forming a new path. The 3 followed the ice wall, gave away under the acidic poison behind them. But the sealed exit didn't seem to bother them. They had come here with no intent of retreating. In such a manner, Xie Tianshang and Long Xingyan showed the way, while Chu Qingcheng kept the miasma at bay. They soon found themselves at the heart of it. The source of the poison. Xie Tianshang's last attack parted the thick poison, revealing Yin Bongi constantly spewing blood. Yin Bongi jerked in shock, sustaining the Rainbow Cloud Palm. For so long has seeped the poison into his organs, and it was in his worst hour that the trio revealed themselves before him. He was too weak to even hold back one. least of all a team of 3 panicking. Yin Bongi was ready to bolt, but Long Xingyun had a different plan in mind, appearing next to him. This is a once-in-a-blue-moon chance. I am an avid believer of one man's pain is another man's gain. Snickering, Long Xingyun struck boom. The palm attack sent the defenseless Yin Bongi tumbling through the air. He was heavily wounded the moment he flew, was also the moment the miasma vanished. The 3 surrounded the wheezing Yin Bongi. Noticing the glee in each other's eyes, Lord Yin Bagong raved. Despicable and shameless bunch. All he got from a crowd was contempt. This is a house war. You call 3 on 1 unfair? What about Yin Bongi's army outnumbering others 5 to 1 just moments ago? Yin Bagong noticed his slip of the tongue and went red. Grandmother and Long Yifi were ecstatic. But a peek at Regent Estate's unfazed reactions sank their moods. Just where they up to? Then, Chu Qingqing's raging caught their attention. Yin Bongi, you have no respect for human life, not an ounce of mercy to be using such foul art. You deserve death. The earth soaked in blood was testament to the thousands of lives his pestilence had reaped. Chu Qingqing couldn't stop herself from cursing the weakened Yin Bongi. Long Xingyun waved her off. Ha! Edifice Lord Chu, don't be upset. Capturing Pill King Hall's Yin Bongi makes all those thousands of sacrifices worth it. Not to mention that most of the deaths were from his side. This is clearly a worthy victory. Ha! Chu Qingqing and the other women snorted at his laughter. You're saying that in war, it will all be fine as long as their side has the higher casualties? Do their lives mean nothing? Are all men that cold-blooded? They only dared complain in their hearts, having understood, now, the cruelty of war. Ha! You're not the only winners. With a bang, Xie Tianyang was sent flying. His spot was instantly replaced by Hell Valley's Yu Shan, by eldest young master's orders. The more gruesome this last death is, the better. I was vexed on how to go about achieving this, but now I have figured it out. With a dark smile, Yu Shan turned to the panicking Xue Ningxiang. Her eyes reflected the claw clutching at her neck. The man exclaimed jubilantly, Miss, you should be honored. We sacrificed so many people just so we could let him see your twisted and mangled face. Ha! Chapter 309, Ghost Hand. Chapter 309, Ghost Hand. Ning, Shui Gang, and Shui Lin cried out and attacked. The notion of fighting someone way out of their league was lost on them in their frantic worry for their sister. Yu Shan spared them no glance, only a wave. A gale dealt with the pesky brothers, sent them flying, and they were left to fall powerless on the ground, but their eyes still brimmed with concern for Xue Ningxiang. Xue Ningxiang shouted, Big brother, second brother. Ha! Easy now. They're fine. I have no interest in swatting down flies. Yu Shan's malicious grin widened as he had the fragile girl in his grip. Whoosh. Suddenly, a sword flashed by. Xie Tianyang had picked himself up at some point and was aiming for the man's throat. Flowing spaces, 9 forms, empty net. The space froze, and even Yu Shan looked slowed as the only moving object was the swift sword attack at his throat, unfazed in the slightest. The man merely pinched the glinting cold blade. The sword stopped dead in its tracks. The next thing he knew, Xie Tianyang found Yu Shan's sneer entering his ears. Humph! I would have been a bit worried if the flowing space's 9 forms came from your brother, but you... Ha! Never mind. Yu Shan shifted, and both sword and man were seen shooting through the air, slamming into the earth and spitting blood. He found no energy left in him to get up. All he could do was painfully witness Yu Shan's vile hands squeeze Ninger's neck. Chu Qingqing, Xie Tianshang, and Long Xingyun rushed over. Yu Shan merely displayed a frown and placed Xue Ningxiang towards them as he shouted, Don't come any closer, or the lady gets it. The 3 halted on the spot. They slowly put down their feet and turned grave. The lady was from a trifling second-rate clan, no different from a vassal, but her status was a bit special. She had strong ties with sword marquis abodes Xie Tianyang and soaring demonic dragon Zhuo Fan, whether it was for the ones behind her or for herself. They had to avoid playing a part in her death at any cost. Yu Yushan's threat wouldn't have worked on them otherwise, with both sides fully knowledgeable of the delicate balance. Yu Yushan regarded them with hatred and a twisted grin. Who'd have seen this coming? High and mighty disciples from 3 houses are now shaking in their boots in fear of seeing a second-rate clan's Miss head falling off. What a sight, huh? Yu Yushan turned to the said miss with a raised eyebrow. See that, my lady? They care for you so much. And the one who made it all possible is that man. Ironic how it includes your current predicament as well. If only he didn't exist, who among us would waste time to mind a small and insignificant lady? Xue Ningxiang gnashed her teeth. Knowing fully well who he was talking about, the 3 close by knew it too. The focus behind all this planning and ambushing had been Zhuo Fan. All along, this proves how dear Xue Ningxiang was to Zhuo Fan, making it obvious why the enemy would throw away all their honor and go after a frail girl. It all came down to dealing with Zhuo Fan, all the more reason why the trio couldn't be hasty, lest they find themselves short of Xue Ningxiang. And with an enraged Zhuo Fan breathing down there next, the 3 gave each other a hidden nod, being overt as they looked for a chance. Yu Yushan was one of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix after all, so how could he leave an opening for the 3 to exploit? The scene turned into a standstill, with neither side moving on the other. The audience beyond the water exit were shocked by the sudden development. A mere second-rate clan's miss was Zhuo Fan and the other's weakness? Go figure. Luo Yunchang clenched her fists, worried sick. She had long been made aware of Ninger's importance to Zhuo Fan. Neither she nor Chu Qingcheng could reach the same place as that girl in Zhuo Fan's heart. She refrained from waking Zhuo Fan to this realization out of worry and fear. Fear that Zhuo Fan would further distance himself from her. It had reached such a point where before the final battle, Zhuo Fan's heart was a mess. He kept flipping out, yet never could find the root of the problem, blaming it all on his restless mind. Only Luo Yunchang knew this was jealousy over Ning and Xie Tianyang seeing each other every day. With Zhuo Fan's one-track mind for cultivation alone, his knowledge about love and anything skirting around the subject was a huge void. Without knowing what caused such deep unrest within him, he chose to force himself to be stone cold. His mind had found peace, but all he did was stop the flood by building a dam around it. And once that dam cracked, the surging tide would consume him. Luo Yunchang could practically see Zhuo Fan's pained face. She turned to the trapped Xue Ningxiang, praying for her safety. Ningna, you must survive, or Zhuo Fan will go mad. Among all viewers, the only ones who truly cared for Xue Ningxiang were her father and grandfather. Seeing their daughter and grandchild in the hands of Yu Yushan robbed them of their breath. Their hearts were about to break. Why has the kind and cheerful Ninger met with such disaster? Zhuge Changfeng took everything in with a glint in his eye. Sir Lung, is this the fatal weakness you've been mentioning? Ah, Prime Minister, I have conducted a thorough observation, and that girl is Zhuo Fan's biggest worry. He might not even realize it himself. Lung Wuchang smiled. Zhuge Changfeng raised an eyebrow. How did Sir Lung find out then, if even he doesn't know? Simple. A man will always reveal what he yearns for without even realizing it. When Zhuo Fan first came to Dragon Cloud City, he and our eldest young master clashed. That time he saved 2 women. One was the Luo clan's young miss, while the other was the Shui girl. That was all it took. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Lung Wuchang shook his head. It wouldn't have been that simple, but his eyes naturally drifted to the Shui girl. It begged the question if he would ignore even the safety of his clan's young miss. And since he's only interested in the other girl, what place does she hold in his heart? Also, on the fighting stage, when Zhuo Fan was taken by his awe-inspiring first victory, who was it that he went to first? When a man shows his heroic side, he wants to share it, not with his drinking buddies, but with the woman he loves. These are all subconscious actions, but also the ones that betrayed his heart the most. Zhuge Changfeng nodded in understanding. Sir Lung is truly perceptive. From just 2 encounters, you have grasped the kid's weakness. I have to say that I'm impressed. You're far too kind. I don't deserve it. The Prime Minister's wisdom is matchless. I dare not compare. I have never been able to see through the Prime Minister's thoughts, not one bit. Lung Wuchang gave a half bow, in respect. But the way he was looking at Zhuge Changfeng in the eye, it was more akin to a challenge with a glint in Zhuge Changfeng's eyes. The old man laughed. Sir Lung is interested in me as well. Am I to assume I am your next target? How can that be? I'd never dare do that to you, Prime Minister. Lung Wuchang shook his head. Zhuge Changfeng gave a cold smile in return, not minding it. I don't mind playing a round or two once Sir Lung has dealt with that monkey. Shuddering, Lung Wuchang's eyes shined with battle spirit of Tianyu's three great minds. He had always been second to Zhuge Changfeng. He now had the chance to face the man, and although he was somewhat uncertain, the excitement prevailed. Every man with power would do anything to fight for the title of #1 in the world, unwanted contriver included. On the other side, Yu Yushan saw the trio, unmoving, and turned to the frightened Xuan Ningxiang. Girl, that OL poisoner wanted to dissolve you into a bloody smear on the ground for that kid. But I found such a revenge lackluster and figured out a much better way. You wish. Big brother Zhuo will definitely save me. Xuan Ningxiang struggled as she cursed, her hand tracing the thunder ring each time the thunder ring flickered. Zhuo Fan was bound to swoop in and carry her from the jaws of danger. Big brother Zhuo. Her heart cried those three little words. Absolutely convinced of her delusional fairy tale, Xie Yang gnashed his teeth, crawling forth to save his love. He didn't go far, once again taken by weakness. Only his bloodshot eyes never left Yu Yushan, wishing nothing more than to devour him, shaking his head. Yu Yushan ignored his surroundings and enjoyed making the last squirm. Girl, your man won't come. While we ambushed you, he was going to Huangpu Qing Tian to fight over the fourth brimming sacred pill. Ha ha ha. Now that I recall, weren't you supposed to be a cauldron for us? Although late by a few years, it's never too late to receive your fate. Yu Yushan touched her head as it released eerie sounds and gray energy. Everyone cried. Ghost hand? He wants to take Ninger's essence. Chapter 310. You're too late. Chapter 310. You're too late. Elite Coder. Ning Xie Tianyang shouted himself hoarse. No matter how much he wanted and tried to save her, he just couldn't muster the strength to even get up. Essence was a soul's foundation, its core. Its role was to condense divine sense and anchor the soul. Once taken away, the soul would scatter while the flesh would keep on living merely as an empty shell. Chu Qingsheng jerked. Yu Yushan wasn't using her as a bargaining chip, but putting her to death. Her team acted at once far too late. However, Yu Yushan's gray energy rippled, and he lifted the hand placed on Xuan Ningxiang's head. As if pulling something, Xuan Ningxiang's face grew ashen. Sheer terror painted on her face as she spoke faintly. Be big brother, save me. Then, the top of her head flashed in a blinding light, and a pure mote of energy rose above. Xuan Ningxiang's eyes dulled. Having lost the energy to stand, even her cheerful nature dissipated. As she fell to the ground, Yu Yushan was overjoyed at the dazzling light, intoxicated even. Such pure essence is rarer than rare. What a waste letting her live for so long. Fortunately, it has found its use in the end. Yu Yushan placed the essence in a censer, then sealed the lid before putting it away. Yu Yushan, release Ninger's essence. Chu Qingqing's delicate voice came. Just as her palm was poised to attack, Yu Yushan replied in kind. The two attacks met, and were both forced back. Yu Yushan took the recoil to his advantage and flew away in laughter. Ha ha! Without her essence, her soul will last for a few more days. Enough for that punk to say his last goodbyes. Pass this along, would you? If he wants revenge, we'll be waiting at the Earth exit. Chu Qingsheng glared in hatred at the fleeting Yu Yushan. Just then, Long Xingyun and Xie Tianshang flew in front of him and cut off his retreat. Yu Yushan, don't think you can get away from me with murder. Xie Tianshang's sword flew. The bright and thick sword attack crossed the entire sky. Long Xingyun snickered. Now that you're here, don't even think about leaving. Boom! The incredible sword and palm attacks startled Yu Yushan. With 2 against 1, 6 dragons and 1 phoenix at that. He had no hope of escaping in his desperation. He released his spirit animal to take the brunt as he escaped Pa. The scorching eagle was struck as it was still making sense of its surroundings. The 2 profound heaven experts' attacks weren't that threatening, but the eagle still cried in pain. It turned its head, dumbfounded. Where's Master? He had let him out, but there was no sight of him. Xie Tianshang and Long Xingyun were stunned. He is lower than vermin. To even use a 5th-level spiritual beast to cover his ass, he is scum. But we'd be far worse if we wouldn't accept this sacrifice. Xie Tianshang and Long Xingyun smiled coldly and attacked the spirit animal. The duo released their own beast to attack Yu Yushan's beast and put it down for good. The scorching eagle was devastated. What the hell? Can someone please tell me what is going on? Why am I suddenly in a deadly situation? No one cared enough to enlighten the beast. The 2 beasts and their masters surrounded it. They beat it into submission and tears, turning it into spoils of war. The fleeting Yu Yushan sighed and cried, "Sorry, partner. Everything is for the mission. Brother, you wait." A panic cry reached him. Yu Yushan found Yin Bongi next to him. "OL Poisoner, how did you escape?" Yu Yushan was stunned, smiling at his fortune. Yin Bongi said, "It's thanks to you distracting them. I slipped away after taking a pill. If I had known, I wouldn't have used my spirit animal." "Oh, and why didn't you take out your own spirit animal to save me?" Yin Bongi smirked. "Sure, and what good would 3 men and 3 beasts do against 1 man and 2 beasts? It would only end up sacrificed like your own in the end." Faltering, Yu Yushan's face twitched. "This is our mission, not mine alone." He had lost the most in this. Yin Bongi was quite hurt as well, yet pleased as punch, ready for his reward. Yu Yushan's anger only rose back to Long Xingyun. The man and beast team clobbered the scorching eagle down to its last breath, then placed it in his ring. Only then they flew to provide help to Xie Tianyang and others. Chu Qingqing's girls helped Xue Ningxiang up, but her dead eyes and fading life force left them in grief. Chu Qingqing's eyes teared and placed a hand on her head. Dong Xiaowan cried, "Edifice Lord Chu, what are you doing?" With Lady Ninger's essence taken, her mind is in chaos and her soul is about to scatter. The agony is no different from having one's marrow pierced by 1,000 needles. The pain is enough to harm the soul. It's better to release her from the torment. Chu Qingcheng gnashed her teeth, her heart bleeding at the injustice. Dong Xiaowan was stunned. She looked away as tears streamed down the Xue clan, and Xie Tianyang weren't by Ning'er's side, but the words cut them deep. Still, they hoped to save Ning'er, even if it was a flimsy hope. But none wanted to put her through such torment. Only Lung Wucheng nodded. Not a bad way to die. At least better than muddying the ground with blood. Yu Yushan showed quite the initiative in this mission. Huangpu Tianyuan smiled. "Ning'er, please don't blame me." Looking at Xue Ningxiang's pale face, Chu Qingqing's palm was ready to strike. But then, Chu Qingcheng looked stunned as Xue Ningxiang's dainty hand stopped her with barely any strength left in her. Even with her eyes dull, she still held on to the last bit of energy, holding back the attack. A deflated and weak smile graced her lips. "Edifice Lord Chu, please give me more time. I want to see Big Brother Zhuo one last time." Chu Qingqing's words were stuck in her throat. She knew the pain of having one's soul scattered, but nonetheless, Ning'er wished to wait for Zhuo Fan. As a woman, especially a woman who loved the same man she did, Chu Qingqing's heart was in such pain that she turned around. Xue Ningxiang gave a faint smile. "Thank you." Once Xue Ningxiang and the Xue brothers recovered enough with the help of pills, they rushed to Xue Ningxiang's side. The pale face, an increasingly weakened figure, filled them with sorrow. Xie Tianyang wanted to go get her essence back, but Xie Tianshang held him back. The other side had Huangpu Qingtian, and neither of them were his match. Xie Tianshang may be a martial fanatic, but he knew his limits. Before they could do anything else, however, they had to wait for Zhuo Fan and discuss it, but even after 2 days, Zhuo Fan was nowhere in sight. Xue Ningxiang only got worse. At the brink of death, Xie Tianyang was always by her side. In tears in the afternoon of the 3rd day, Xuan Ningxiang and Xie Tanyang saw their thunder ring flashing. Xuan Ningxiang was moments away from passing, but her eyes shined and a smile appeared. He came. Boom! Lightning crashed, and Zhuo Fan landed. He saw less than 1,000 men, and his heart seized. He asked Chu Qingchang nervously, Is everyone all right? Their faces were dull, and words had left them. Zhuo Fan's heart skipped a beat. Feeling the gravity of the situation, Xie Tianyang's bloodshot eyes turned to him, his voice laced with hatred. You're too late. Far too late. Zhuo Fan was taken aback seeing the brother he went through life and death with show such an expression. But then he noticed something and his lips quivered. How is Ninga? Xie Tianyang only closed his eyes, but tears never stopped flowing. Zhuo Fan grew more nervous as he approached slowly with shaky legs. He didn't want to accept that because of him, Huangpu Qingtian had moved against Ninger, a sweet and frail girl. As the sad and despondent people slowly made way to reveal a delicate figure, Zhuo Fan's mind was blown away, rooted on the spot. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.